Hello everyone and welcome here to the Serenity Gaming Wintersplit. We are in the middle of week 2. Division 2 is gonna start off this week, and I'm pretty sure that I first of all will have a pretty nice match tonight. We'll have and first of all we're gonna start this over because we are in week 3. So we're gonna try one more time here. Serenity Gaming Wintersplit week 3, going on with the Division 2 tonight with Dorado and Pegasus. And with me in the casting stand tonight, I do have Kui. You're the caster here, and let's see, we met you yesterday. So guys, how are you feeling tonight?
Do I lead this? All right, I'm
You're
feeling. Yeah, I'm leading it.
The play-by-play
leader.
We've been over this.
I failed casting school 101 right there, but no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's the first week for me, so I've really got to dig my feet in and start off strong. But obviously Litzy is going to be the experienced one who's going to be guiding me through everything here. Going to be the brains.
I mean, he says that. That is clearly false advertising. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I try my best, and that's the main thing.
That's of course the main thing here. Kui, some of the players might know you from War Rivals from last year. How does it feel to be at Serenity Gaming to be the caster here now?
Running War Rivals last time was an interesting experience, but I'm really fascinated by how many different leagues are going on at once. They're all so unique in their own ways. They all do something different. They all do a really good job of what they're doing. So honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the community. I'll try my best to be involved. No promises, but just as I said, looking forward to everything coming forward.
And looking into the match tonight here, Serenity Gaming Dorado versus Serenity Gaming Pegasus here. What can we expect for this match?
Well, these teams are pretty much even when we look at their LP. Also, one interesting thing is that on the side of Dorado, we're actually getting a sub in. Instead of Vomit, we're going to be seeing a new player. His name is Light Moonery.
Yeah, Light Moonery is coming in to replace Vomit, I believe was the name. I haven't got it in front of me, but it's just my incredible memory at play. We're seeing some sort of tanky-ish picks in his match history. A lot of Warwick, but if we see that in the top lane, I'll be quite surprised. But you know what? We're also seeing a lot of fighters. You've got the Garen, the Darius in his recent, as well as picking up that oh-so-meta Scion in some recent games.
And one thing that I saw that I thought was pretty entertaining was he's been playing some Yorick, which I'd love to see.
Yorick's that classic 4v4 champion. He forces the enemy top laner into a position where he can't help his own team, or they lose inhibitor, and that's just the end of the game. So really interested. If that does come out, I want to see how he plays it. If he plays that pure split push annoyance, or if he's able to transition that into a mid-game team fighter, see what he can do with that build.
Yorick can definitely do both.
Yeah, and talking about the Yorick here, do you guys think we're gonna see some different champions? I mean, Yorick hasn't been picked in any pro scene, hasn't been picked in any Division 1 games. Do we think Division 2 is the place that we're gonna see some more spicy champions?
I think so. I mean,
yeah,
these people, at this level, oftentimes if you just play something really, really well, it doesn't matter if you're going into a bad matchup, if you're just playing that much better.
This is definitely the sort of league where you'll see these more risky things come through, because at this point it's really a case of a skill matchup rather than a pick matchup. You're looking at all the high-level games that have just gone on, for example, in Worlds, where everything was, this pick just wins against this pick. But in this situation where we are right now, we're grounded in who is better than the other player. And I think picks are just a sort of a bonus on top of that.
And we had a lot of substitutes coming in this past 2 weeks here. Do you guys think it's easier to be a substitute in Division 2 where the teams are not that coordinated? Or do you think it's actually easier when you hit a bit higher elo and you're more used to playing around new people? Is it a good thing or a bad thing to have substitutes here?
Well, it kind of depends on the team. A lot of teams, they've been around each other for a very long time. They've been, maybe it's been just those 5 people playing together for, years. And now there's a new person and it's weird. But also, when you get more experienced, you oftentimes get better at adapting to new situations, and having a different player on your team, being able to adapt to that and realizing, okay, so this is how this person plays, this is how they talk, this is how they think, this is how they react to different situations. The really good players will be able to figure that out pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I just sort of have to add to that, obviously there's going to be some synergy things in any level of play, but when you bring someone new in, I think at the lower levels of play, it's a bit easier to maybe slip in through the cracks and pick up where the person you are replacing left off. But obviously we're going to have to see, maybe we can draw some conclusions between Moonery and Vomit and maybe see if there's an upgrade in there, but we don't want to cause any drama just yet, so we'll wait to see that.
We'll wait to see. I do know there is a tiny bit of a war going on between the bot lane from Pegasus and Dorado here. Will it be possible for Falcon to do anything against Law tonight, or will it be a hard matchup for him?
I think it is going to be pretty interesting. Goldluck, he usually plays late game ADCs. He plays the Xayah, the Kai'Sa, the Jinx, and Falcon, although he does play a lot of Jinx and Kai'Sa, I've noticed a lot of times recently he's been playing Caitlyn, which is much better in sort of lane dominance with her long range.
Yeah, and I've seen some play from Lord Goldluck. I don't know if Gleck is the same support that he was running with when I last saw him, but Lord definitely had that carry potential around him. So, yeah, I would love to see maybe a hyper carry come through. Obviously, this is a bit less of a meta for these ADCs. They're still prevalent, but the snowballing solo laners are where we're looking at. Scamander is where I'm particularly interested for the red side going into this game, because I've seen a lot of his play, and I want to see if he has really upped himself from when I last saw him, where he was picking these sort of scaly mid laners. And obviously, with the snowball heavy centric meta, that's something I really want to sort of maybe see capitalized on at this level of play.
And talking about Scamander here, we've seen him twice on the Syndra, where he, of course, didn't carry the game on his own, but really took a big part in the victories, and especially against Pegasus, where against Phoenix, where he actually almost managed to do this on his own. Sadly, lost the game here. Will it be possible to see him on Syndra today, or should Dorado just plan it out and get it away?
Ooh. I don't know if Syndra's really worth a ban. I don't know, because obviously there's a lot of different things that you can pull out. I mean, even with Scamander himself, I've seen him pick up another like hyper-scaling mid laner. So a Viagra, for example, has come out from him in what I've seen in the past. And I wouldn't be surprised to see something along the same lines. I think a Syndra can easily be substituted out for another heavy, control scale mage. So I think there's a lot of options to him. If you're banning out the Syndra, you're just leaving open another ocean of champions who can be brought in at any one time.
It will of course be interesting to see what he can get away with here. I do think and I do hope that if Dorado is not banning away the Syndra, they will have a counter matchup for it. Looking at Power Greek, he's gonna play against Scamander tonight. Looking at his OPGG, we see the Cassiopeia coming in, a really hard mechanical champion. But again, really late scaling. Do we think we're just gonna see a scaling mid lane here? Or will someone go for something cheeky?
Well, I've noticed that on both sides, their match history shows a lot of Akali. So I'm thinking that if the Syndra gets banned out, we might see Scamander on the Akali, and same thing with Power Geek.
Especially
except not the Syndra ban, of course. It would be if LeBlanc gets banned out.
We'll see. I'm pretty sure that Syndra should be a primary pick for Pegasus here. It has been for this 3 weeks they've been playing. But maybe they have something in the sleeve here. I know that Law has been talking a lot about his sire. There is some comfort picks coming out from these teams, and I think the question here will be who is best to actually read read the OPGGs and see what they can get through and what they can't get through. So, not known for multitasking, I'm gonna send the links out here. So guys, please tell me what my favorite question, your worst question, who do you think is gonna win tonight?
Well, that's a color's job.
Well, looking at it, I honestly think that Dorado has the advantage. Although if Pegasus really does a good job, they step up, they make sure they control the map, I think they can do a really great job. Also, I noticed on Dorado, Rasmussen, he has 100% kill participation, which is the most in this split so far. And it's sort of a balance between, is he just carrying his team or is his team relying on him that much? So I think there's probably going to be a lot of jungle back and forth there to try to make sure he isn't as helpful towards his team. If Dorado or if Pegasus is able to do that, I think that they can win.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, when you're looking at a number like 100%, you know, participation in a team, that just sort of displays open wide how useful you are, how diverse you can be for a team, and how, you know, there's not a reliance on you, but there's definitely something about you that is expanding onto your team, helping them out. And we're going to have to see if he can repeat it here. And I've been sent the link. I'm into a pro draft. And what are we expecting to go out in that first rotation?
Well, I think we're going to be looking for the Syndra. We were just talking about that. As commander, he's obviously very, very good on the Syndra. And unless Pegasus has, or not Pegasus, unless Dorado has some plan to specifically take down that Syndra, it needs to be banned out.
Yeah, but suppose that they do get rid of this, you know, the pick that we're all, you know, thinking of in this Syndra. If that goes, what is left there for that mid laner and commander? What is there something that he can maybe pull out of his pocket, or is there anything that maybe he's been practicing behind everyone's back?
Well, I was looking at his match history, and like I said before, he has been playing some Akali and some other assassins. I even noticed some Kassadin plays. So we may see that. I'm not too confident in that pick. I don't know if that's going to work really well, but if the Syndra gets banned out, I'm thinking we're going to be seeing Akali.
Alright, so you just mentioned the Kassadin, the Akali. These both have that sort of thing that we were sort of touching on earlier in that conversation with Colorpoint, where they have this scaling to them. Maybe their laning isn't the best thing in the world, but once they hit that mid to late game stride, they really run away with the game. The Kassadin's blinking here, left, right, everywhere, and you just can't keep eyes on him before your entire backline's gone. So really, we're looking at these solo laners, maybe prioritizing in the mid lane the matchup between Scamander and Power Greek, but like I've been saying, there's a solo queue heavy meta. We're sort of ignoring the other solo lane in this game. We've got Kyle versus Light Moonery. Where's your head at with this one?
Well, I mean, I was looking at their op.gg's, and it's mostly tanks, right? So chances are it's going to be a bit of a smack fest top lane. I'm not seeing a lot of Garen or Irelia, so it's probably going to be something like a Cho'Gath versus Garen. That's what I'm thinking. I'd be interested to see Light Moonery pull out the Scion or Yorick, though.
Yeah, and the Garen, you know, really can be abused early. You know, the Cho'Gath, I'm afraid, sorry, can really be abused early in that game if he has that slow start to him. Once you got stuck in those 3 stacks up, it's a different story. But right now, you can really imagine in that lane, Cho'Gath will just get bounced around by the silences, the constant disruption coming in, potentially, from a Garen. But that being said, scaling into the mid game, the mid lane is going to look a lot scarier. But late game, you never discount an AD carry. We briefly talked about Lord Goldlock and his sort of Caitlyn plays and all those crits that can be coming off flying across the board. But on the other side, we have the highest ranked player in this game, I believe, in RL Falcon. What can we expect there?
So I'm guessing that we're going to see Rasmussen go down there a lot and make sure that Falcon gets fed. he's probably going to be playing a late game ADC. That's what we have been seeing recently. Stuff like the Kai'Sa. If you don't go very late game, you go very early game. So you either go Lucian Braum or you go Kai'Sa or Tristana.
Yeah, and with these crit heavy AD carries are really coming back in, and then there's sort of sliding into that conversation is of course the Kai'Sa with potentially something more like a Gwynsu's an AP build, all this really consistent damage not coming out of these generic items that you'll see of the Infinity Edge, the Storm Razor. So it'll be really interesting to see the dynamic in, well, I say interesting, this is a tank I'm about to talk about here, but the tank's builds against, different sorts of AD carries, where their priorities lie, where they're trying to shut down. Because as we all know, there's nothing scarier to a, early to mid-game ADC than a tank who can just walk at them. So really interesting. That's when we start talking about team dynamics, subs coming in, and all ties it up nicely in a bow. But that being said, we have a whole team game. And looking at this, you've spoken briefly about the possible game plans coming in from Rasmussen, camping Falcon in bot lane, with Lolicon Lulu maybe picking up something very defensive to just help him scale up and get through lane unscathed. Which side do you reckon the edge is going to, and just what sort of their comps, what's the word I'm looking for, imply?
I think that both of these teams seem to play a late game. We're probably not going to see a whole lot happen until around 20 to 30 minutes. Oftentimes we see, tower dives. If you watch Worlds, you saw Xin Zhao jumping under towers at level 2 or level 3. And I'm thinking it's going to be more late game.
For sure. And we have finally started to hit the ban phase. We have 3 come through so far. Syndra, no big surprise to anyone who's sort of been looking at this one from afar or up close. Syndra is gone from the Scamander, I believe it is. And then Xayah, Braum, Lissandra, the other 3 to come through. Shedding any light on these?
So yes, Godaluk actually does have a lot of experience on the Xayah. It's one of his most played ADCs. So that isn't an incredible surprise. Xayah is incredibly powerful when played properly, especially that ultimate ability, being able to just ignore anything that was coming for her, and also her very powerful roots allowing her to do incredible damage. That was an incredible surprise when looking at Godaluk's history, but that probably is going to open up the Xayah for him. Or not the Xayah for him, the Kai'Sa for him.
So we are seeing the first pick, I believe, hovered. Pro Draft is not my expertise, but yes, that is actually locked in now. The Trundle, without knowing the opposition, we've gone for the Tank Shredder in the first pick for Pegasus.
Yes, Pegasus, Trundle, he is incredibly powerful, and with such a tank-heavy meta that we have right now, especially with top lane. Top lane is sort of the new bot lane, in a way. The top lane, if they get ahead, they can win a game for you. So I'm guessing that Pegasus, they know that there might be Garen play or Sion, and they're just going to say, okay, let's just shut that guy down, which is sort of going against what I was thinking before with a heavy focus on bot lane.
Yeah, but we have seen the Kai'Sa come through, as well as the support for Dorado. The Kai'Sa was picked up in that first rotation, just like you anticipated with the Xayah gone. That is going to be going over to Lord Godlock, who now has that window of opportunity to scale perfectly into that mid to late game, pick up the Gwynsus, maybe go for that AP build that we sort of touched on a bit earlier, as the Alistair has gone with him. Very high priority pick as an aggressive support to help, snowball an ADC instead of just comfort them.
That's right. And what we're seeing from the side of Dorado, Lolicon Lulu, she usually picks mage support. So seeing the Morgana come out is not a real surprise, but that does mean that that's a potential tank gone. And that's one reason why we're seeing the Olaf. Although he isn't really a full tank, he is incredibly difficult to kill. He's sort of that weird gray ground between bruiser and tank. And I'm wondering if we're going to see either a very heavy tank top lane or a tanky mid lane.
Yeah, so right now we've got the anti-tank from Pegasus, but we just need the one that he wants to shred down primarily. Obviously, Olaf will be hitting that very tanky stride once he's just ulting and walking straight into Kai'Sa, but really, once you have enough peel potentially coming through from the Alistar, you know, maybe the CC is not there, but there's still the sustain possibility. Alistar can pick up something more defensive, a Knight's Vow, or pick up a possible Redemption. Probably not his priority, though. So he can still help out his ADC, despite the lack of CC that he's going to be providing through the ult. And there's the Yorick we've been talking about. And there's so many possibilities that have now just opened up to us.
So this will actually be the first time that Yorick has been picked this split. Am I correct?
I believe that is correct, yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard that. I feel like that's something I would have heard about. So this is going to be pretty interesting if this person is able to pull out something that we haven't really seen, a new strategy, a new way of playing. You know, it could become the meta. You never know.
Now, this is something interesting to point out. Light Moonery has just come in, but he has also just come in with a bang. He's picked up the first champion. Well, Yorick's first appearance is at his hands. So really, he's coming in and he's proving that he is going to be something to be messed with. If he pulls this Yorick off, you know, in a way that is, you know, impactful, then really he might become a mainstay on the team. Don't want to, you know, imply anything just yet, but that has been picked up. It's first time player, first time champion, and a cast-in to round off that team, as we were talking about earlier.
And I think also other teams may be looking for a top laner. Even if it isn't Dorado that decides, hey, this guy's pretty good, it may be another team.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely have a scouting ground sort of thing going on at all times. But now we have got all rosters locked in. We're going to finalize all of these on the actual client before getting into game. But now we actually have 2 5-man teams all championed up, where your sort of bias is lying in terms of where this game's going to go.
That's right. So also one thing that I thought was pretty interesting is we're going to be seeing the Shen. And that's going to be in top lane. Whenever I see a Shen top lane, I get sort of nervous because it can either work really, really well or it doesn't work at all. And there isn't a whole lot of in between there. And then also we see the Veigar getting picked up. That late game that we were talking about. All of Pegasus' team are pretty late game focused.
Yeah, so just quickly rattling through everything. So we talked about the Yorick potentially making a 4v4 game, and his opposition will be, I believe, the Shen coming through. So Shen, on one hand, wants to leave lane. Yorick wants to make sure the enemy can't do anything to leave lane. So Shen's going to have a real hard time getting his foot into this game when he's just being forced to stay under the threat of losing towers upon towers. So really, it's also a jungler's game to see if he can put the pressure onto a Yorick enough, because I think if you're able to keep Yorick behind, his damage to towers is going to be negligible. Then Shen can run away with a possible snowball in bot lane. But Veigar, something I was sort of holding out hope for. I knew that with that Syndra gone, he'd be wanting to pick that sort of late game mage. So the Veigar is very interesting to see. Not really a champion you'd see a whole lot of outside of maybe this sort of division, but definitely an interesting one nonetheless. So we've got 2 hyperscaling mid laners, as well as 2 shredding junglers. So really, everything seems to be coming down to this bot lane.
That's right. It's going to be pretty interesting to see this matchup. Kai'Sa does not go into Caitlyn very well. Kai'Sa has a very short range, but she does an incredible amount of damage, so you can close that range very quickly, whereas Caitlyn can just slowly poke with that long auto attack range. And there's every once in a while, if he manages to land a trap, also if Morgana manages to land a root, then Caitlyn automatically gets a trap because they can just slap a trap down underneath the person, free headshot.
Yeah, we see that a lot with Caitlyn. The ability to land a guaranteed trap just amplifies that damage so massively. A 250% crit, I believe, is what comes through from that headshot. after they've been trapped, so a lot of damage can come through. Kai'Sa obviously has a bit of self-peel going for her in her movement speed increase as well as her shield, but realistically, what's she going to do if she gets hit by Morgana binding and then trapped up? So there's a lot on her team to keep her alive, and honestly, with the team that they've drafted, it's not even unlikely that they can do that with the Trundle Pillar, the Shen Ultimate, all granting different avenues for Kai'Sa to weave in and out of a team fight.
That's right. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of focus on the Veigar and Kai'Sa. Those are going to be the ones that the rest of the team is supporting. We're going to say, hey, we're going to get you guys fed, and you're going to make sure this game will be easy for us.
Yeah, but on the other side, you just sort of have the quintessential peel support in Morgana. You want to CC that AD carry? No, you can't, because I've pressed E on her support. So really, there's a lot of pressure on Nolocon Lulu on the Morgana of all champions. Maybe a bit of a tongue twister there for you, or a confuser. But the button that, the big black shield is going to be coming through to stop the Alistar headbutt pulverize, allows Caitlyn to walk through the Veigar trap, and allows her to, walk around the pillar without that slow. So Morgana is actually not a bad answer to this team composition.
Absolutely, that Black Shield is incredibly good against a CC heavy team, which is exactly what Pegasus or Dorado is running right now.
Yeah, and all that being said, we talk about the pick that now can come through from the side of Dorado on blue. We have Olaf, Kassadin, and they are just these champions that once you've pressed that R ability, you have ignored the front line, you've run straight into the Kai'Sa. And that is the problem that Pegasus are going to have to deal with. See, there's a lot of back and forth that we're seeing through these two compositions, both wanting to do, trying to counter each other out until eventually we sort of hit this explosive midpoint, which is going to be hopefully these great team fights that we will hopefully see come through. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the word hopeful here, but we will see a lot of action, almost guaranteed, through these compositions. A lot of emphasis on team fighting, and a lot of emphasis on displacement.
That's right. And also we were talking about what is Light Moonery going to do with York. Is he just going to go the full split push, just not leave lane? He has extra minions essentially, so he will always have a wave to go under tower if he manages his resources properly. Or are we going to see a more team fight? His W ability, being able to keep everyone in that circle, is very, very powerful in a team fight. Being able to just lock someone down, especially against a Kai'Sa, who normally would be able to dodge around, maybe get out, and that Black Shield being able to get her out of a lot of CC. We may be seeing the Yorick come down into team fighting more than we usually do.
Yeah, so with that Yorick picked up, we were talking earlier about how he can build or optimize his build for certain situations. He has this ability to force Shen into, a game where it's a 4v4, which ultimately it looks like Dorado would win. So they want to keep Shen away from the side of Pegasus, keep him distracted, and that's exactly what Yorick does. So I think it's a very good matchup in that top lane for Light Moonery with that slightly, quote-unquote, unconventional pick going into Shen after Yorick obviously got hit by nerfs several patches ago. So really interesting to see if he tries to focus on keeping Shen away, or if he wants to focus on capitalizing when Shen goes in. And there's different ways he can manipulate what he wants to build and what he wants to max. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all the possible pressure coming through from the solo laners into the bot lane, and then see how that transitions into the mid game. I think we're looking for a really explosive game, and these team compositions promise that.
That's right. And also looking at the jungle 1v1, Olaf versus Trundle. Olaf wins that fight. He's able to do a really great amount of damage up close range. Although Trundle is too, if they just get into an auto attack battle, eventually Olaf's going to be able to do that. Also being able to ignore the slow from Trundle using Olaf's ultimate.
Yeah, for sure. But once we're hitting these early game, we're talking a lot about the Brolaf, as it were, ultimate. But pre-6, what's he going to be able to do against this Trundle who's slowing him? Just constantly spamming out that chomp, that Q. and, whittling him down. Yes, he has the ability to chase down a Trundle, but it really seems like the junglers pre-6, if they get in a scuffle, it's who engages on who seems to have that upper hand in that. But the point I want to capitalize on most in this game is there is a KDA Prestige Kai'Sa for Lord Goldlock, and that is sending a message.
Definitely. You don't buy the KDA Prestige Kai'Sa skin unless you are very, very good at Kai'Sa, because that's
confident.
Or very confident. That is not a cheap skin. That's 2,500 world tokens to get it.
Yeah, I only have like 300, I think. Maybe.
I haven't even broken 300. If I claim my tokens, I'd have more, but I'm not about to buy that.
There you go. So there we go. Lord Goldlock has put all his eggs into that Kai'Sa basket with that skin, and now if he is able to pull it off, he looks like he knows what he's doing. If he doesn't, then he looks like a bit of an idiot. So, I'm joking, of course, this can go either way. But, looks like we're about to get into game. Hopefully I'm not being, messing with my client. Everyone's 100%. Ooh, I did a test on this earlier. We should be fine getting in. If we get in and I'm not there, just hit me up. But, we've now got, oh, okay, cool. I was very worried about that because I'm currently on my laptop. But we have sort of this very scaly heavy game that we were talking about. But what happens if they don't wait that long? Is there a chance that either of these compositions can break something out that maybe ends it before the half-an-hour mark?
I am definitely okay with seeing that happen. I don't know if it will, but in order for that to happen, definitely it would be on the side of Dorado, I think. Getting that just early, because Kai'Sa is such a late game champion. If Falcon can manage to get ahead that fast and get some kills under his belt, then it could happen.
Yeah, for sure. Kai'Sa has so much reliance on once she starts to upgrade her abilities with that second skin. If she's never able to do that, if she doesn't have the itemization to be able to, as we see Scamander pick up a free stack of his passive in mid lane, but if she doesn't have the tools to get that ball rolling, then there's a real problem for the side of Pegasus. They have gone all in on this hyper carry, hyper scaling, and if that doesn't go off for them, then Dorado have all the tools necessary to deal with that and, shut it down before it even begins.
That's right, and I'm sort of interested to see what's going to happen bot lane. We sort of have a sort of old school versus new school. It's only recently that the tank supports have been the king, but what we're seeing out of Lolicon and Falcon is sort of the more classic. I mean, Caitlyn's been around, and Morgana have been around since forever, and Morgana's been very powerful for a long time, but she's kind of fallen off a little bit in the recent meta with the new tank heavy. You see Alistar a lot now. You maybe even see some Nautilus, and you see a lot of Braum.
Yeah, definitely. The Thresh has also been a very highly contested pick at all stages of play. So it's really, quite common to see these things come out. And Morgana just happens to be this answer to them. These heavy CC, that Black Shield is going to be, game defining, as well as, just all these intricacies in the CC lockdown. There's a lot that Morgana can do to shut down the Alistar, but it's going to be a case of if Lolicon can actually pull that off. Otherwise, we are seeing exactly what we expected, a slow start to the game, as well as just some poke down in bottom top.
Also, we were talking about the jungle matchup. Danish Dragon has already invaded and taken the blue from Rasmussen.
Yes, and now there's a lot of pressure on Rasmussen to answer that, which he doesn't seem like he's in a position to. He's got his red and the Krugs near bot lane, but he doesn't seem to be aware it's happened. No wards would have saw Danish Dragon go sneakily through to the blue buff. So there's a gank in mid lane. He gets the slowdown alongside the nullifying orb. Scamander looks like he's going to be able to walk out of that one just fine, but there is now a bit of a pressure advantage for Power Creek.
That's right, and also what we're seeing from there, Olaf already ganking. He has such incredible gank potential, and if they utilize that properly, and it looks like he might be going back in.
Yeah, there was no summoners burned from Scamander, so he still has those available, but obviously he does not want to use them this early into the game when he is that immobile versus an Olaf. And as Olaf, we were just talking about, he has now noticed his blue's gone, and there is a 3-buff start advantage for Trundle, which is huge.
And also both Scuttle Crabs.
And both that is sort of, what can Olaf do now? He's sort of got to force ganks, otherwise he's in a really tough position.
If he doesn't get a gank, he is going to be pretty far behind.
Yeah, definitely. But so we saw him try that around the mid lane. Scamander's now quite low on mana. Maybe a return isn't off the cards. But realistically, looking at all the lanes, they're all quite pushed up. They're not allowing for him to gank for them. And that's just sort of a bit of a miscommunication perhaps. But Olaf is now going to have a really hard time ganking anywhere with it also pushed up.
That's right, and it looks like Scamander's already going to be taking a back there, possibly being able to get a little bit ahead in items. There to see.
Ooh, as
Never mind, he
changed
out his Amplifying Torm.
Rasmussen gets out fine. I got a bit excited over nothing, but he does get spotted out trying to retaliate. So really, you know, Trundle's got his number this game.
There's definitely been a pretty aggressive, pretty dominant presence from Danish Dragon here. Just controlling the entire map, taking the blue, taking the scuttles, and that vision, that movement speed, allowing people to roam faster, and also just the extra gold that he gets is putting him quite far ahead. If we look at farm numbers, he is already 10 CS ahead of Olaf.
Yeah, and obviously with each camp giving 4, it's really just amplifies how big that difference can be. As the double trap does go down, the headbutt away though, well done from Galek to reduce the possibilities that could have come out of that. But still, really unfortunate trade for the red side in bot lane.
Also, if we go back to look at top lane, it's another 10 CS lead for Light Moonery.
Yeah,
so we were kind of expecting that.
Yeah, we were sort of expecting that dominance to come out from the York. The Shen is definitely someone, you sort of sit around on the tower, try to hit 6 as soon as possible, and then you press the R button, snowball somewhere else. And it looks like right now across the map, his team might need him in bot lane.
That's right, but with both Falcon and Wallacan backing, we're probably not going to see too much aggression happening there. And Shen has been able to get 6.
There's no mana on Scamander. The Ignite has gone down. The last tick is First Blood, turning nothing into something very quickly from the Castin. Very well played on that level 6, but that is not all, as Rasmussen has found the Danish Dragon with a level advantage, however, has decided to respect his elders and run away.
That's right. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see the Shen ultimate there, because he did have it. He might have been able to protect Scamander there, but it was a combination of maybe him not seeing it and also Light Moonery all of a sudden being there, and he actually engaged onto Kyle, not really letting him. If he did have to channel and sit there, he would have taken a lot of damage.
Yeah, definitely, and Scamander has just gone down. Despite having a farm advantage, there is now a hefty gold advantage on the side of the Castin, with a 250 gold advantage this early into the game. That's the sort of thing a snowbally heavy mid laner, assassin like Castin really wants going from, and that solo kill is just setting a precedence and asserting dominance.
That's right, and also with the Trundle here, I'm expecting to see Rift Herald be taken almost immediately.
Yes, Rasmussen has been caught in his own jungle, ironically enough. Throws down the Unstoppable, but the Danish Dragon has got the Shen ultimate on him. Power Greek has come through. The taunt does not quite land. In comes Yorick from the side with the ultimate of his own. The Maiden is doing lots of damage, as Kyle has been locked down by the ultimate from the wall. And then there's just jumps everywhere coming in from Power Greek. Still got a full mana bar going for him. Scamander's got nowhere to go. In goes the Riftwalk, triple kill. As I was not expecting that aggression early. I choked on my words, I can only apologize. But that is a fed Castin very early.
And that's also just what we wanted to see from Light Moonery, and it looks like he's going to be taking a a lot of health down from this mid tower.
Yeah, it has taken the Demolish, which really amplifies this idea of playing a split push, forcing it into a game that Shen can't really leave lane. As the W does hit from Lord Godlock, decides to take the Killer Instinct onto Falcon. Falcon has not got anything to get out of this, tries the trap. The flash comes in from Lord Goldlock, will pick up the kill in bot lane in the straight 2v2. As the Dragon is being taken, Infernal for blue side, the teleport comes down, the root goes straight down onto Trundle, who does find the pillar onto Lolicon Lulu, the flash goes over the wall from Olaf, and it looks like Danish Dragon is trying to get something. Kyle does taunt over the wall, no CC to follow up, and that is the Infernal Drake for blue side, and that is exactly what you want on that Kassadin.
Definitely, that was a very close dragon right there. Danish Dragon was almost there in time to be able to take it, but a root coming out from Lolicon there managed to stop him in his tracks and let them secure the drag.
Yeah, and you also saw a return kill of sorts coming in from that Kai'Sa. Definitely had the aggression down, but the taunt goes down in top tower. Light Moonery does not have flash, but does have a wall, and he will keep Kyle away from, getting that solo kill of his own. And now it sort of looks like we're going to hit a bit of a, stagnant period where it's just going to be a case of, can this Kassadin continue scaling? He's got a Rod of Ages and a Dark Seal already to his name. 8 stacks on that Dark Seal.
That's right. That's going to give him the little bit of extra damage that Vigar always seems to have. You just wonder, how on earth did that ult do so much damage to me? And that's what we're going to be expecting to see, just that points and click delete. On the side of Dorado, we're seeing a lot of squishy champions. Besides Yorick and Olaf, Kassadin, Caitlyn, and Morgana, they're not exactly tanky, or they aren't at all.
Yeah, speaking of tanky, the tank is getting ripped apart by Light Moonery. There is no flash available for either, but the last rights goes straight down from Light Moonery, picks up a solo kill of his own, says, anything my mid can do, I can do better. And that is, what now, 3 solo kills across the game?
That's correct.
Yeah, and as we're seeing the effects of Infernal Drake becoming very evident as Scamander is ignited on again. Nothing he can do about that, but the pillar does come down from Danish Dragon, throws down the Subjugate, but there is just too much mobility from Power Creek, who is now 5-0-0. 2 minutes worth of stacks on that Rod of Ages, 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. He is absolutely going wild already, only 11 minutes into the game. And really, it looks like the early aggression is paying off dividends. We were talking about how Dorado can run away with this game early if they manage to get this aggressive start, and that is exactly what they've done.
And if you wanted to see a split push York, you have got it. He has picked up the Rift Herald, and I imagine he's going to be dropping that with the Maiden as soon as Kyle leaves lane.
Yeah, and Kyle is sort of in a really tough position right now because he wants to be able to ult and save his team from everything going on elsewhere. Fireguard's having troubles in mid lane, and it looks like Trundle's even having trouble trying to do anything elsewhere. Without that Shen ultimate available to them, there's not a whole lot that Red Side can really do. But Shen can't ult because he's stuck in top lane dealing with a Demolish, Rift Herald, Yorick.
That's right, him being able to drop the Maiden and get his extra minions, he can take towers incredibly quickly. It's almost like having a ZZ Rot portal in your kit.
Yeah, and like Moonery was seeing, is also just picking up countless stacks of his Grasp of the Undying, which is just going to make him even more of a nuisance, because the more he stacks that up, the harder it is to kill him, and that's the last thing they want to deal with the split pusher. Scamander is caught completely out. He still has nothing to deal with this, except for the cage and the team coming in to save him. The ultimate does come down from Kaylin. He's picked up... Greek picks up the kill there, I'm sorry. The Ignite does go down from the Alistair. He rolls back in onto Lord Goldlock, who dies before the Shen ultimate can even complete. Galek is now on his own between 3 people. Danish Dragon has come through to try and pick up Lolicon Lulu on the backside. Down goes Galek right at the end. Lolicon Lulu is almost headbutted to safety, but now Danish Dragon is all on his own. The Caitlyn is free hitting. The unstoppable from Olaf, not even needed, as that is just another big win for blue side.
And what we were seeing top lane there was once Kyle ulted, Light Moonery went in, made sure to damage it as much as he could. He actually took Kyle down just to a few hundred health. It was around 200, 300 health. So Kyle has had to burn all of his potions in order to get back up to a reasonable amount of health. And we're going to be seeing a lot more aggression top lane. This tower is almost done, and he hasn't even dropped the Rift Herald.
Yeah, he still has so many things available to him. You know, there's really nothing that Kyle can do by this point. He is caught in a rock and a hard place. He wants to help his team, but he can't lose that many towers before this Yorick just becomes a 1v9 machine. And they do pick up, however, something I do want to point out is the Shutdown Gold was picked up on the Kassadin, but what can they realistically do with that? Because I believe it was Gleck who got the gold. What's an Alistair going to do with that?
That's right. The only thing he could really try to do is finish another support item. Maybe he's going to try to go Locket to help his team, or possibly Redemption to give him some more heals. Or he might go a tank item and try to pick up the role of the tank that they may be missing out from in Shen.
Yeah, it looks like Alistair really has to fill in some big boots there from Shen. There's a lot of control ward, however, from the red side. They do have the vision going down. They have the advantage in that respect, but an advantage is nothing if you're getting run down by a Yorick and a Kassadin. The wall does go down on both sides. Commander's forced to flash over the wall. The Rift Walk will be available in just a second. It is too late, though, but Kyle has not got the memo. He's late to the party. Does taunt, does just about get the blast cone away. Meanwhile, in bot lane, Falcon's just having a field day.
That's right, and that's kind of what we were expecting from here. Caitlyn is able to really punish that Kai'Sa who doesn't have the range to exchange poke with a Caitlyn.
Yeah, and despite that early kill that Kai'Sa picked up, it's those three that have been picked up by Caitlyn through the means of help from her team has really just been so influential in that bot lane. And really, it's looking like we want to say it's only a game to win, but at 15 minutes, there is already a 4k gold lead, which is only going to expand from here on out. A 7 kill gold lead, my maths is on point. But really, what can Red Side, what can Pegasus do to pull themselves back into this game?
Well, the first thing they're going to have to do is take out this Rift Herald before it takes another tower down.
Yeah, and it looks like it doesn't really care much about the enemy players. However, there's actually no initiative coming in from blue side to try and take the tower on top of it. It was a straight 2v2, the Demolish proc was available, decide to, you know, play it a bit safer and leave. The Rift Herald, however, does get a big chunk of damage on that red tower.
All Yorick has to do is walk back into lane while Kyle is in there, clear a wave, throw some minions under there, and hit one Demolish proc on it, and that tower will be down.
Yeah, and obviously there's the direct correlation between how many grasp stacks you have and how much damage that Demolish is going to do. And it looks like, oh, like Moonery's not even the one with grasp. I've been talking absolute nonsense for the last 5 minutes. I saw these grasp procs going across, and I was like, oh, that's on the, oh, there's maybe a solo kill in bot lane, however, as I'm talking more nonsense. I can only apologize. I apparently am very brain fried at the moment. But
and we were just talking about the rune mistake there. I hadn't realized that Light Moonery brought Conqueror instead of what I would think a Yorick would bring, which would be Grasp. I think that was a perfectly reasonable assumption there. And that really does explain why Light Moonery has been dominating this lane so much, being able to just hit gigantic Qs onto Shen once his Conqueror procs.
yeah, and I guess that really does explain a lot. As Lolicon Lulu is caught out by the cage, the Dark Shield does not come up in time, but Scamander does not have the flash to get away from this one, as he is going to get run down by Power Greek for the kill. However, Scamander does pick one up for himself, resets the gold bounty on him. But yeah, it is very strange to see that Conqueror come through, as we're seeing a force engage coming in from bot lane. The Predator is proc from Rasmussen. He is knocked up by Gleck, who is taking a lot of damage. But meanwhile, in top lane, as we're brought right back down to bot lane, Lord Goldlock is being aggressed on by the Kassadin, who does have the Riftwalk coming back up onto Gleck, who has survived a surprisingly long time on very low health. He does flash away from the next Riftwalk, but the flash is just too much distance for Gleck to try and avoid, as the Kai'Sa will walk away with her life.
That's right, and we're seeing even more aggression up in the top lane. One good engage from Light Moonery could mean Kyle's death here.
Yeah, and that's Kyle gone. Light Moonery has no mana, but he does not care. He will pick up another solo kill for himself, 2-0-3. This substitute is putting in work.
And also with Yorick, which definitely wasn't what we were expecting to see. Well, I mean, we kind of saw it coming with once we looked at his history, but out of most top laners, you don't expect to see a Yorick. I mean, come on, it's Yorick. He's just a silver crusher, but apparently Lightmurray is bringing it a little bit ahead of that, bringing it to another level and crushing golds and plats.
Yeah, it really looks that way as they try to force an engage, but he is stopped by his own pillar, is Danish Dragon. He is forced to stay at his tower where he is. And, these tanks that we're looking at red side are just being absolutely shredded through by Caitlyn. And we're seeing a very cheeky bit of positioning from Caston. Is just going to transfer into a push on top wave, force Kyle away, and now they're just going to try and get something even more in mid lane. They do pick up the tower. Danish Dragon constantly throwing down the W to try and cover some distance, force an engage, and he is just told, no, 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 stay where you are by Morgana, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Right, and now it looks like Power Greek's going to have to escape. He's going to burn the ultimate to get out of there too. That was really great what we saw there with Power Greek going up top lane. That kept Kyle in the top lane. He wasn't able to protect his team, wasn't able to put out the defensive zone, wasn't able to taunt anybody, and that just let Lightmurray come in and take the tower.
Yeah, and it's a real tower advantage, kill advantage, gold advantage, dragon advantage going for blue side right now. Dorado they are in the driver's seat. They have 2 Infernal Drakes on, what is 2 winning lanes. There's been 2 solo kills come through for top lane for Lightmurray on that Yorick. With the Conqueror, the aggressive rune, backed up by the aggressive Drake, is only good for him. And he will also pick up the Scuttle Crab just to defer any possibility of a comeback, maybe through a Baron play. And then you got the 812 Kassadin, who is just, blinking here everywhere, right into the backline. Nothing anyone can do about it. Scamander has had a rough game trying to deal with him, and really, he hasn't found a way to deal with him yet.
It is always fun to see a Kassadin player teleporting around, sort of the anime fantasy we all have. And Power Greek, he's turning it into reality here.
Yeah, and it's just another quick pickup. Doesn't even care. He's throwing down the Ignite. He knows he's got that kill. He'll just walk away, go to other pastures. As really, it's just sort of looking a bit desperate for the side of Pegasus. They're trying to find a way back into this game. They're trying to see if Trundle can maybe force an engage with the pillar and the big AoE speed up of his. But he's just can't. He's constantly being told he can't get back into this fight. He can't get back into the game. And blue side are trying to just hammer it home with the Baron. There's no Shen ultimate available. The Stand United will be available when he's up in 5 seconds. But it looks like this Baron has just gone way before that. Trundle is now just caught up, pincered. In comes the Caitlyn ultimate as well as Power Greek on that Kassadin. Constantly going to be running him down. Will pick up the kill and the Baron. This is dire.
This is definitely not looking good for Pegasus. Lightmurray has just absolutely shown dominance. And we saw this with Sren just yesterday. A new top laner coming in and just, I'm not going to say carrying the team, but definitely helping them out quite a bit.
Yeah, and we talk about this meta right now, which we've been seeing so prevalently in all stages of, play. We've seen it at pro level, diamond level, and even in gold to plat level here. These solo laners are so impactful right now. If you can pick something that can snowball off of just a couple kills, then they will run with it and they will take it home. And that is what's happened. We've got the 10-1, the 2-0, the massive gold advantages for both Yorick and Caston. A 2k gold advantage through the mid lane alone for the side of Dorado.
Right, and a 10k overall, it's really hard to make that back up. The only thing they can really do is try to catch some people out. If they group up, stay together, they might be able to take out one of Dorado. But they won't be able to do it in team fights. We've seen that now.
Yeah, and they won't be able to do it if there's just them knocking on the door. Scamander does pick up a kill on Lolicon Lulu, absolutely blows her up through the shield, but it does not look like anyone on Dorado cares. Gleck is going to try and force an engage, however, throws down the headbutt pulverize. Carl flashes in with no HP, he's being shredded down. Light Moonery is going low in the front line, but he does have the lifesteal coming through. He flashes out, the ignite is still ticking, the smite comes down, and that is not going to be enough. He's going to walk out with his life. Meanwhile, Falcon free hitting in the background, as well as the Maiden providing so much pressure. But we're not even talking about top lane, where Cassidon is just picking up a free inhibitor of his own. There's a battle on two fronts happening for Pegasus. It doesn't look like they can do anything about it. Danish Dragon is going to try and throw down some punishment onto Rasmussen, who does not care at this point of the game. And it looks like Power Grease is going to come in, secure the kill on the overstaying Trundle. Gleck is going to try and force something back. It now looks like it might be Kaiser's game to win, but he is just being shredded by Falcon, who is untouched still. That is two inhibitors. Shen is the last one standing to try and make a miracle play for Pegasus, but you know, at this position you just have to wonder, what is there anything? Is there anything a Shen can do at this point? It looks like it's going to be game.
He can't defend mid inhibitor. The only thing he could possibly do is try to defend the final turrets, the Nexus turrets, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that.
Nah, deleted off of the face of the earth. That is a very clean, very decisive first game going over to Dorado in this best of 3. And really, it's a morale game from here on out. What can Pegasus do to bring it back in the next few games?
That's right. We saw a lot of really good plays coming out from Dorado. The Lolicon Lulu, the playing Morgana, was able to land incredible roots. And what I really enjoyed watching was Power Greek and Light Moonery. They did great in their lanes.
Yeah, and I think if we were to throw down a possible MVP on this game, it might be a bit hard to call, because everyone did their part so well. But do you have someone you would like to sort of give that honorary mention to?
Right now, I'm going to give it to Power Greek. Because Light Moonery was playing not a very critical lane, because if Shen gets ahead, all he can really do is help keep his team alive. But when Vygar gets ahead, it is incredibly difficult to deal with. And so I think that even though they both performed well in lane, Power Greek, him shutting down his enemy laner, I think was a little bit more valuable than shutting down a Shen.
Sure.
And also was able to get just so many kills. Look, 12, 1, and 4. You know, 3-0 and 4 from York certainly isn't bad in 184 CS, but it's 12, 1, and 4.
Yeah, and really, the Vygar is the one you want to be as behind as possible, and that is exactly what he did. The solo kill off the bat for first blood, the ignite straight from level 6, picks it up, and he makes it very clear that this is his game to win right now, and that is exactly what's happened. He's picked up the W for his team just through sheer aggression. And, you can't even disregard the rest of the team. The objective play was very well done from the side of Dorado. 3 Drakes to their name. It just happened to be 2 Infernals, which helped them out even more. So well done from Rasmussen to keep an eye on all of that. And well done from Falcon to not let that one death, become a hindrance. But I believe we will have a break before next game. I have not heard otherwise. So otherwise, we will see you in Game 2 once we are ready to get it underway. And we will make sure you don't go anywhere, of course. That's the main part. You're not going to want to miss, Pegasus' possible redemption story, and you maybe don't want to miss if Dorado just happened to take a 2-0 like the unfortunate events of Europe at World.
Eternity, but you'll never Mindst på arcade. Mest på LeBlanc.
Tonight I'm coming out the shadows. Long time coming, gonna get what's mine. I'm here standing at the doorway, staring down my glory. It's my time. 'Cause I'm a light in the darkness. I'm a bullet in the gun, that's me. My heart, it beats like a bass drum. Come and let me get some. Never gonna back down, never gonna break, won't bend now. Tonight there's gonna be a showdown. Tonight there's gonna be war. This is what we came for. The victor, the champion. I'll be the last one standing. The raging, the glory. Tonight they'll write my story down. Time goes by in a moment. Can't blink now, only got one shot. It's all I need, gonna own it. Running to the top now, I won't stop. 'Cause I'm a light in the darkness. I'm a bullet in the gun, that's me. My heart, it beats like a bass drum. Come and let me get some. Never gonna back down, never gonna break, won't bend now. Tonight there's gonna be a showdown. Tonight there's gonna be war. This is what we came for. The victor, the champion. I'll be the last one standing. The raging, the glory. Tonight they'll write my story down. Tonight they'll write my story. Tonight they'll write my story down. Tonight they'll write my story. Tonight they'll never gonna back down, never gonna break, won't bend now. Tonight there's gonna be a showdown. Tonight there's gonna be war. This is what we came for. The victor, the champion. I'll be the last one standing. The raging, the glory. Tonight they'll write my story down. Tonight they'll write my story down. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is time for the draft of the second game, and we are already seeing the Syndra ban on the side of Dorado.
Yep, and also Braum coming out again from Pegasus. I think that's the second time in a row that was their first ban come through. I think this is almost an exact replica we're seeing of Game 1. But you know what a wise man once said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the casting is now being respected a lot more for Pegasus.
And then there's the Skarner going away. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see a Yorick ban there.
Yeah, the Yorick was definitely huge, but I think there's maybe a bit more priority on that 12-1 casting that came through. That is now off the tables. It'll be interesting to see if Dorado picks up a similar strategy with that Yorick. It obviously worked very well for them the first time. Can it be repeated? Can it work again? That is yet to be seen. But the Skarner also taken away, so there's definitely something that Dorado know is up with that Skarner. Do not want to give that over to the Danish Dragon, who, you know, had a bit of a rough performance on Toronto last game, couldn't really get anything done versus that Olaf and Morgana who just kept shutting him down. So there are definitely a lot of eyes on where Pegasus can pick up from where they left off and see if they can sort of claw their way back into a series, make it a third game through this game. As I say that, they pick up a very risky pick.
That's right, Shyvana, you know, she's a little bit of it all for nothing. And if she gets fed, if she does well, she can do a lot for a team.
Yeah, definitely, but we have to get that ball rolling on her. She's a very hyper farm jungler who can then transition into very strong level 6 ganks, as well as, you know, transitions very well into team fighting, which is what Kai'Sa wants. A very strong dragon in the front line is going to provide a lot of peel for Kai'Sa. Throw down these Void Seekers, play these aggressive positions, and that can really work out so well for Lord Goldlock if he's able to get that going. Meanwhile, Dorado have got the Caitlyn Morgana for a second game, but actually, I believe it's been flipped. No, it hasn't. That's my confusion, because blue and red going on there differs to our lobby. That is, Caitlyn Morgana picked up a second time for Dorado, as well as Yorick. Can he make it that 2-0? Can they all make it that 2-0?
And also, we were talking about the Shyvana. I'd be interested to see what Dorado's jungle pick is to make sure that she doesn't snowball, that she isn't able to get ahead.
Yeah, for sure, and a very interesting pick, because this is actually the game that Pegasus want to win. They have not won a game yet. I have been told that they have had a very rough time going through the last couple of weeks. They went, you know, lost one game in week 1 before having to FF the second, went 0-2 last week, and they're 0-1 now. They really have to prove a point that they are worthy contenders of staying in this competition at a high level, because right now they're not really putting up any fights to show otherwise.
That's right, and with the Ornn here, that's to help counter the Yorick. Yorick, he gets up close once the minions go in and, you know, hits with the Q. He does a lot of damage, especially because this Yorick is running Conquer. Ornn does pretty well against that. He's able to use his Fire Breath and his Charge in order to really punish people who get close to him.
Yeah, for sure, and actually taking Grasp would be a bit of a backwards move by Yorick, because what does Ornn do? He does % health damage on that on that brittle auto attack. So Yorick taking that Conqueror is actually kind of useful into that matchup, but still, Ornn will do so much work if he's able to just abuse the all-in of Yorick and just turn it right back around with a good old shield and a brittle auto attack, do that big chunk of damage, and also so useful to his team. Yes, Shen's useful in a more global capacity, but in these skirmishes that we saw happening a lot in last game, is far more useful, more reliable, and speaking of reliability, Zyra is a very reliable damage output.
That's right, her ultimate being able to knock people up, do so much damage to them, and the turrets that she spawns, she is able to do great work inside of lane and out.
Yeah, so it looks like actually maybe a bit more of a useful, or not useful, but slightly more confident draft phase coming through from Pegasus. But that being said, Dorado's pretty much hit Control C, Control V on theirs, you know, exchanging out the Bandcast for an Echo who does, honestly, a very similar job. They've done the exact same thing here. They want these big skirmishes, they want to transition that into a snowball, force team fights with the Olaf, and if it works once, why can't it work again? Pegasus have drafted a slightly more distant, high damage ranged team, which could work out very well for them, but it also seems a bit scattered. You have a Shyvana and an Ornn who want to go full in, and then Zyra and Vel'Koz were just poke champions, and Kai'Sa sort of hovers in that middle ground. So we've got the two rosters now sorted. Do you reckon this can be taken to a Game 3 by Pegasus, or will we see a quick 2-0 from Dorado?
If they utilize their composition properly, I think they can take this to a Game 3. With the Vel'Koz, the Zyra, the Shyvana, and the Kai'Sa, that is a lot of damage. And these are sort of big all or nothing picks on the side of Pegasus. If all these people get ahead, if all these people do well, they do incredibly well. On the side of Dorado, you have a few more safe picks. You know, no matter how fed Morgana is, she's still able to root. She can still shut people down very easily. And you sort of see the same thing from Caitlyn and Yorick and even Echo, although with Echo it's a little bit more, if he gets fed, he snowballs really hard and is able to just one-shot people in the backline.
Yeah, and to put it softly, Power Greek is no stranger to getting fed and snowballing. Even on his own merit, he didn't need a jungler last game, and maybe even with the help of Rasmussen this one he could do it again. Echo with maybe a bit less kill pressure at level 6 than the Kassadin had prior. But, you know, the Akali... Akali has been locked in on... Alright, now this is where I'm getting confused. Yeah,
that was a mistake. They were supposed to ban Akali and they messed it up.
Alright, my confusion has subsided. I understand where we stand now. But, so with these two rosters locked, you think that Pegasus can take this to a quick, you know, bring this to a Game 3, sorry, but obviously we are here for the chat, and if the chat has some differing opinions, if they think Dorado can sweep away with it, let us know in chat. I don't believe there are any hashtags, but definitely make your opinion known, and if you're biased, then that's fine as well, but or you could be objective and look at these team compositions, but obviously anything goes. And in this little break whilst we're waiting for the lobby to get back up and running, I want to quickly talk about the mid matchup again, because there's might be a bit of tilt, to say, coming in from Scamander after Power Greek picked up so many kills on him in lane last time. How does he have... He's definitely gone for the safer pick in the Vel'Koz. Stand to the back, throw out Q and W, pick up farm where he can before just unleashing a laser of death. But how has he got to do in this lane versus another aggressive assassin in Echo to make sure that his presence is felt more this game than the previous?
Well, he's going to have to be very cautious, Scamander will, because Echo is able to close the gap very quickly between him and Scamander. And Vel'Koz doesn't have a lot of armor, and once people get close to him, he doesn't have any mobility to get away. And so if Echo can close the gap, get up close, then there isn't a whole lot that Vel'Koz can do. Maybe hit a knock-up, but it won't protect him forever.
So it definitely looks like it's going to be another skill matchup going down in the mid lane. There is an element of hard scaling going on between last game and this game, very similar in that respect. But Kyle has now picked up an Ornn, something that was banned away from him last game, so maybe a bit of a comfort pick for him. And sorry, I'm gonna keep going about this. This Shyvana pick is very out there. You know, it's in his name, the Danish Dragon. So it definitely has some meta aspects in that regard. But Shyvana is not a pick we see a whole lot of right now. How has he got to play this game versus an Olaf again?
Well, I think that Shyvana will just try to stay away from Olaf, especially once level 6 happens on Olaf, him becoming unstoppable, not really getting affected by the knockback that Shyvana applies. And although Shyvana is really powerful in the Smackfest because she has sort of that Sunfire cape on crack AoE damage around her, I don't know if she'll really be able to win out against an Olaf. So I think that what she's going to have to focus on is making sure that she ganks lanes really, really well. Going in on Morgana and Caitlyn, making sure that they can't get ahead, and also helping out Scamander in the mid lane, trying to get that echo down, making sure that Greek does not get so far ahead like he did last game. I think will be really important for her.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, as you say that, in the last game, we sort of had sort of a very flipped idea of what was going to happen after we saw Danish Dragon get a 3-buff start over Rasmussen, which really sort of caught us off guard when it started, you know, completely going the other direction with Castin and Yorick doing so well. So Rasmussen has to be on, you know, full guard to make sure that he doesn't have something like that happen to him again, otherwise he might have a bit of a rough time, as Shyvana can scale very well. She's able to get ahead early, get that level 6 before Olaf, do something big and explosive with it. But the problem that was had last game was Olaf wasn't really able to make any ganks. A lot of his lanes were shoved up, whereas on the other side, that opens Danish Dragon up.
That's right. It's going to be a matter of if they make the mistakes. You know, if Danish Dragon makes a mistake and Rasmussen is able to capitalize on it, then Danish Dragon is going to have a really tough time. But it could go the other way too. He misses his axe throw, or he is positioned strangely. He's trying to get one of his buffs and he's low, and Danish Dragon surprises him. It could go in the way of Danish Dragon.
Yeah, for sure. And just before we get through, we do have the spectator delay to sort of slog our way through, so we'll be handing it quickly to a break, and we will be back with you shortly for the start of the game, the start of the action, and we will see which team will take home the W for this one, if Dorado can make it a swift 2-0 on that red side, or if Pegasus can get their first win in any series alongside that all-important Game 3. See you in a moment.
Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last time. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
welcome back, everyone, I do believe, to the Serenity Gaming Wintersplit. You have caught us at the start of Game 2 in Week 3 of Division 2 between Dorado and Pegasus, both under the SRG banner. I am, as always, Kui, still joined by the wonderful Litzy, and we are about to enter Game 2, as once pointed out, I suppose. I don't know where I'm going with that point. But we're seeing a very return to what works for Dorado. If you saw Game 1, you want to know that they pulled out almost the exact same composition, bar the mid laner, who couldn't help it, he was banned out. But Pegasus have gone for a whole new approach in their composition. And let's see, where do you see this one falling?
Well, they certainly have a lot more engaged this time around, using the Ornn and Shyvana to rush in, maybe get some knockups, get some damage down, while Kai'Sa, Zyra, and Vel'Koz, they just come in and clean up house. I think if they utilize that comp well, and they catch out Dorado whenever they make mistakes, because they do make mistakes, they'll be able to take this game. But they have to find an answer to the York split push, and they have to keep Power Greek from getting so far ahead like he did last time. He ended up going, what, 12-1?
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can repeat that, maybe on a different champion, just to prove his prowess. You know, if you can do it once on casting, that's all well and good. If you can do it twice on two different champions, then that really does set you apart. And Scamander has a chip on his shoulder that he has to sort of prove that he is equally worthy of getting such a potent lane going for himself. So we are loaded now, right in, and straight off the bat we're seeing dematerializers in mid lane, nothing new there. And it's going to be a case of which one shoves through first, which one plays the aggressive lane, and see just where the early game lies. Last game we saw two late game compositions divided by one key thing, which is a double infernal fed Kassadin, which really just tilted the game the whole other direction, ended the game before it needed to go on too long. And we'll see if anything similar happens here. Maybe a lot more aggression coming through, less late game centric aside from last game. So really, I said I was looking for explosive action last game, and we definitely got that, but this time we can maybe see even more of it. So many more engage tools coming through from Pegasus that really means that either side can make the proactive plays this time, rather than Pegasus playing a bit more proactively.
That's right, and also seeing the two minion dematerializers in mid lane, there's going to be a lot of lane control. It's going to be interesting to see who gets pushed under tower, or whether or not it's just frozen in the middle and trying to open up, both sides trying to open up ganks, or if one side is going to try to play it safe. I personally think that Scamanders should try and stay under his tower, try to just get some poke out, and make sure that there's gank potential onto Power Greek.
Yeah, and as we're seeing already, Scamander picking up that W first, already going through the hard shove of the wave, definitely not demoralized from last game. Make sure he's coming through this game playing a completely different playstyle, not going to play defensively, not going to play reactively, will push that lane in. And, you know, it's really just a testament to how you can keep a level head in a game like this. After a rough time last time, he's really coming back in, showing that he's not going to be pushed around. Actually gets even the experience advantage going through for him.
That's right, and what we're seeing top lane is more of the same. Light Moonery already has some of his minions up for him, but they aren't really going to do a whole lot. Maybe, you know, he just has a little bit more lane presence, and so far it's just been Kyle trying to get some fire breaths on him, maybe try to get a grass proc off, but beyond that, they're just both playing safe.
Yeah, but it definitely looks like Kyle's more comfortable in this lane than he was last time. Obviously with the Shen Yu will be sat under tower regardless, but he really didn't look very comfortable after everything that Light Moonery was shoving at him. But this time, on the Ornn, he's able to push that lane up with the pillar, use the Bellows Breath, and completely negate any engage coming through. Meanwhile, the over-aggression of bot lane has definitely been capitalized on as Gleck is going way too low. He picks up the axe, throws down the heal though from Lord Goldlock, and will keep Gleck alive, but definitely not you know, what they want. They don't want to be losing summoners this early on after already being in a pretty rough lane. But it looks like the advantage is going to red side on that one, despite Falcon's lower health.
That's right. What we were seeing there is just a little bit of a friendly hello from Olaf, but it looks like there's actually some engage going on in the jungle.
This is again Danish Dragon, just like last game, playing very aggressive. He flashes and Power Greek follows it with the hyperdrive. That is so unfortunate, but the kill, the first blood actually goes over to the Kaiser on the other side, who was able to pick it up through the Void missiles just before the death of the Shyvana. That is first blood gold going over to Kaiser in what was a very poor situation for Pegasus. Yes.
That was honestly the best thing that could have happened there on the side of Pegasus, being able to just barely pick up first blood, and with the Kaiser missiles no less. That's just got to feel bad on the side of Dorado. They had that, they almost had first blood, and then it got stolen from them with Kaiser missile coming in from bot lane.
Yeah, and speaking of, really good for the side of Pegasus, Power Greek is completely shoved under tower. This is a completely different looking game, just from what we're seeing so far, especially in mid lane. Kyle's looking more confident, Scamander's looking more confident, and this is really good from Pegasus to hold their heads high after what was last game. It was effectively a bit of a destruction. Really, it was very one-sided, but now it looks like it's going to come a lot more even victory for either side.
That's right, and for Kyle, you don't play against Yorick very often, and so it's easy to sort of forget how he plays. And not only that, but Lightman Reese, he's playing a very unique, very aggressive Yorick by using that Conqueror. And I think that now Kyle is sort of picking up on the idea of what he's supposed to be doing in order to stay alive against Yorick. And it seems to be paying off mostly. I mean, he is behind in health right now, but overall, he's doing great. He's behind in CS a little bit, but once Light Moonery backs, Ornn doesn't have to back to get items. As long as he keeps his health up by using his grass properly, he can just stay in lane.
Yeah, and that is one of the great things about it. Light Moonery wants to force a 4v4, and what better to deal with the fact that, you might be ignoring your team than the fact that you never really have to go back. You can actually out-pressure Light Moonery, and even force it the other direction. The Ornn pick's very good in this matchup, just through the passive alone. The fact that Shen had to keep going back, and then he was constantly out of position, behind in farm, forced up to his tower. Whereas now, Ornn is doing the exact opposite this way around, as Rasmussen does catch Danish Dragon on a ward, just throws down the axe, the undertow, nothing else comes from that.
That's right, and we're not seeing a whole lot happen otherwise besides what we were talking about before. Kyle didn't have the back while Light Moonery had to go back, and he's now picked up his Sheen, so he has more mana and some of that cooldown reduction, able to get his Qs out faster, get more farm with it, and get more minions.
Yeah, definitely. That, as you were saying, the mana and ability to sort of do a bit better in these trades is very useful for him, because he's already seeming to be very good at generally the basics of Yorick. Landing the W and the E, and Rasmussen is going to come through. Kyle does throw down the Call of the Forge God to try and defuse this. Rasmussen does not have ultimate. He does land it onto the Olaf, throws down the shield, does not get anything from it, completely out and over with, as that kill goes over to Yorick. And that's unfortunate after we saw Kyle have a hopeful early start to this game.
So there's something pretty interesting happening there. Once the Call of the Forge God was activated, you could see Light Moonery and Rasmussen split up. That means that Ornn had to decide, who do I knock up? Do I knock up the Olaf or do I knock up the Yorick? And neither choice would have resulted in him surviving there.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning he did not have the Searing Charge available. He did use that on the wall, which meant he covered no ground with it, which meant he did not have it available once the Olaf walked in. All he had was the Call of the Forge God, which, as you said, he had to make that split second choice, and it just wasn't enough. If he maybe had that Searing Charge available, who knows what could have happened, but very good gank from Rasmussen, able to get that gank off. Last game, we didn't really see a whole lot of ganks happening at any point, whereas now it's a whole different story, as the knockup does go onto Light Moonery, does not have flash available, neither top laner does. But maybe if he still had that Call of the Forge God, could have engaged that further. But, you know, this is all just unfortunate timing. It was a very good gank from Olaf, has shut down so many possibilities from Kyle. Oh, as the binding actually lands a ball in, the Ignite goes straight down as well as the trap. The killer instinct does go across, but Zyra is outputting enough damage to cover 2 people as he forces Lulu away.
So that was very close.
Oh, as
Definitely
Power
we're gonna be seeing
Greek
it
does
back there.
throw down the ultimate and gets out just fine. Ooh. This is the action we wanted to see. This is good. Ultimate's thrown
Absolutely.
down everywhere. As the convergence does land onto Scamander, and as always, Olaf is in the right place at the right time.
That's why he has that insanely high kill participation. He's just where he needs to be every time he needs to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And now that is a 3-1 as well as 100% kill participation over on the Olaf. Really speaks volumes about his usefulness. As we say that, the bind does land on Olakon Lulu. The bind misses in return. That looks like a solo kill support on support, whilst Rasmussen is just trying to take the dragon. He looks like he's going to be pincered on. The unstoppable does come through, but damage is not negated, and it looks like they will slowly whittle him down, or he might just run away with this. They use the heal for the movement speed. He's going so low, and the Void Seeker, despite the flash, picks up the kill as Carl in top lane is going very low. He throws down the shield. It might be enough. He does get it just in time. The Maiden does go down, does not quite pick him up. Resets aggro. Wow, that was close.
That was very close on the side of Kyle. That's just sort of a smack fest, and you just have to know how much damage you do and how much damage the other person does. And that's one thing I've noticed that is actually a little bit favorable on the side of Kyle here, is that whenever Light Moonery uses the circle to try to trap Kyle, he can actually use that as terrain for his Searing Charge to get his knockup.
Yeah, and it looks like despite the disadvantage he was given, he has rolled with it very well. The shield that he got from that Bellows Breath was so vital. It it caught out Light Moonery, got him by surprise. He thought he might have had that one in the bag after he got him down to such low health. But Blinking Red health bars are nothing to an Ornn with that shield. As Power Greek and Scamander are just exchanging so many blows in mid lane, there is a farm advantage for the blue side. But there is that 2-kill proto belt for the Echo.
That's right, we're not seeing a huge gold difference here, just 400. And if we look at the farm, that's sort of where we want to be seeing. Right now we're seeing Scamander he's incredibly far ahead in farm, 81 to 64. And the only other place where there's a real advantage for Dorado is in the top lane. It's 69 to 63. What we're seeing there, right at the beginning, there's about a 10 CS lead for Light Moonery. But like we were saying, Ornn, once he manages his health, he uses his grasp properly, he doesn't have to back to get items, and that has allowed him to stay up on CS.
Yeah, for sure, and we saw a little scuffle go down there from Rasmussen. He does ultimate his way out of that, but he looks like the pressure has been turned back on him a bit, despite him having all the cards in his hand to begin with. But now he's being pressured down, he's being pincered on, he has had to use that ultimate several times to just about get out. Well, unfortunately, we can't say that about the last time, but there was no ball in quite to finish that up, as Light Moonery and Kyle still just fighting in the top lane. In comes Rasmussen again for the gank. The flash was back up from Kyle, but he throws down the Bellows Breath. There is not enough there. Call of the Forge God does come down. There's nothing he can do. Can't even reproc it. Meanwhile, in bot lane, Falcon is ulted onto, and there is the kill in bot lane and in top across the board. Power Greek trying to make that 3 for nothing, but does not quite get that across. Well, 2 for 1, not 3 for nothing. As the not the Rift Out, sorry, the Maiden is attacking down on the top lane. Danish Dragon is just sort of stifling around the area, can't get anything done, decides to leave it, knows that it's gone, and they trade towers top and bot, 1 for either team.
So there's the extra gold coming in for first tower. Now, actually, Dorado has that very slight, just 400 gold lead.
Yep, definitely brought it down from where it once was. There's both within the 19k now, unlike last game where we were seeing nearly a 5k advantage for Dorado at this point into the game. Really good for Pegasus to see that there is definite progress being made. So they're looking around the Rift Herald. After having already taken an Ocean Drake, the Rift Herald could be just what they need to keep that Yorick in that top lane, you know, healthy, and allow him to have all this push pressure. As looks like there are some pinks going across the board from blue side to say that maybe they are on it, but only Ornn is there to really do anything about it. It doesn't look like he's going to try to do anything about it. The wall does come through, just about brings him back into the fight. They're going to try and finish it. They do get the smite down. Kyle cannot do anything in this situation. He has 1v2. He does not have flash. Power Creek is being aggressive on the mid lane as the laser comes down. The true damage is coming through. The ultimate is not available. Power Creek, that is a solo kill mid. There's a kill and bot to begin with. This is happening all across the map. Two very low blinking red health bars on the red side. Scamander come through with the angle. Not quite caught on the Forge Gold. Could pick up a kill here. He gets neither of them. They both walk the other way, but the flash comes in and Scamander to pick up one. Comes through to pick up two. And this is Pegasus' time to shine.
Kyle just managed to survive there. That was very, very nice for him. We were expecting him to die while we were looking mid lane, and then I looked back over at River, and he's still walking, he's still engaging, and now his Shyvana is there to help him, and that allowed them to turn that around. They can now punish Dorado for trying to get Rift Herald.
Ooh, the bind
looks like they'll be able
into
to
the
take mid.
trap. Is that another kill? And Bolly, the heal comes through. Ace in the hole not available. As mid lane tower does go down in response, as blue side still just about standing. Zyra's there to defend it, clears the ward, but it looks like he is stuck in a 1v2 situation now that Kaiser has been forced back. The binding lands, he's just stood completely still, throws down the Stranglethorns, nothing he can do from that point onwards there.
That's right, and with the tower health being so low, they should be able to take this before Golda can get back to the lane. But Shyvana is here.
Yeah, Shyvana is there, but won't be able to stop them doing it. They will pick it up as well as a kill. The flash coming through from Shyvana. She is on her own, however. She gets trapped up, rooted, and she's just gone straight to her death. She's taking the entire minion wave in as well. Void Missile, Void Seeker misses. And what was Shyvana doing there?
I think
as the action doesn't stop as Power Creek is
is
now coming down on Bolly, and he fancies his chances. He walks straight into his own death. Lord Goldlock picks up that one. In comes the Vel'Koz to try and pick things up, but Falcon out of position, can't do anything. Rasmussen is now caught in a 1v3. He throws on the Unstoppable, but that is just not enough when damage is coming through from every possible candidate. What? Everyone's just sort of walking into their deaths.
It seems like it a little bit of hyper-aggression on the side of Pegasus, maybe a little bit cockiness on the side of Dorado.
Yeah, I think either way, Pegasus can't really complain. Dorado, however, do have the response. The Demolish is still there on Light Moonery, destroying towers with that Maiden. Might well get this before Vel'Koz can even show up. It looks like he will, but they will trade Dragon for it on blue side.
That's right, that's what we expect to see from a Yorick, just going in on the towers, saying, either you are going to have to deal with me, or you're going to give me one of your inhibitors.
Yeah, and that Yorick pick, we keep talking about how he just forces everyone to have to think, oh wait, what's Yorick doing at the moment? You know, we haven't, you know, counted for him yet. And what he is doing is breaking the base, which is very well done by Light Moonery to an extent. He is just sitting in lane, but he is doing it at the right time. He's forcing an advantage for his team when they aren't doing it themselves.
That's right, and it looks like Pegasus here is going to be trying to set up and take this mid tower. Or not Pegasus, sorry, Dorado.
Yeah, and Dorado still have a slight advantage in the objectives. Have the Dragon, have a tower advantage. They are, however, behind in kills, but the gold is actually equal. That might, however, turn over as Power Greek, maybe out of position, does walk away with his life.
He does have his ultimate up, so he'll be able to survive getting jumped on, but it seems like he took the safe route out, decided not to engage on that fight, and just back, maybe get some items, and then return back to lane.
Yeah, and it looks like the aggression is now going down as Light Moonery is caught out of position. He is just not tanky at all. Call of the Forge God comes down, but meanwhile on the backside is the Olaf. He does not quite get the kill onto Scamander, who walks away with a slither of health. That red health bar cannot blink any more than it currently is. And it looks like this mid tower might just be the side of Pegasus's to take. a whole different side. This game, it is Lord Goldlock just popping off entirely, as well as Scamander holding his own very well in lane. Rift Herald does, however, stop their wave, sort of inadvertently saves the mid tower for Dorado, but it does actually, it stops the push. They're leaving that.
That's right, they're going to be able to save their tower and maybe push it up a little bit now that Pegasus has backed off, and looks like they're just going to try to push this lane as fast as possible and take the mid tower.
Yeah, and the vision being cleared from Lolocon Lulu is a most interesting thing going on as the mid tower does eventually go down. So now that we're looking, you know, still at a very significant advantage in towers for Dorado, is definitely going to be their win condition, as the ultimate does come through from Scamander, doesn't pick up anything. Void Seeker does land on Falcon, but Goldlock is not in a position to take that with the Killer Instinct, as Kyle is now getting undertowed on. He gets the reset, however he is being aggressed on in return. Kyle thinks he fancies his chances here. He has the 2-level advantage, goes for the pillar instead of the distance, and just gets nothing out of it, but the pressure is still applied. Mid tower is just slowly going to go down if there is no response from Dorado.
That's right, it looks like they're trying to set up with Morgana and Caitlyn to create a defensive line, but those two are ones that can be engaged on very well by a Shyvana if the binding is baited out from Morgana.
Yeah, and we're seeing Yorick do Yorick things in bot lane. Once again, they're sending the Vel'Koz to try and deal with him, but once again, it is too late. That is 5 towers now for Dorado, almost, I think that's 4 of them from the hands of Yorick. He will go down for his troubles, it looks like. Actually, no, all the CC does go wide. The Scamander goes in deep, there's nothing he can do with the Maiden on him, and Light Moonery picks up that tower for free. Meanwhile, in top lane, it looks like Danish Dragon might be caught out. He still has the Dragon's Descent available. He will throw it down, but the ace in the hole lands on him. It is not blocked by Carl. The Ignite goes down. Power Greek actually ults his way out of that, just to make sure it's a for sure 1 for 0. As Baron is started up by Dorado. This could be the power play that they need.
That's right, and it looks like they're going to be trying to take Baron here. And if they do manage to do that, they're going to have to just absolutely make sure that Ornn isn't able to use his Call of the Forge God in that area, hitting gigantic knockups and getting good damage. And with Zyra coming in, that Zyra ultimate and maybe the Vel'Koz
actually, in goes Call of the Forge God. He does land it onto the jungler. The Baron is about 3.5k health, but in goes the Stranglethorn. So loads of damage coming out from Galek. Kyle is now forced into the front line with no HP. What is that ultimate coming in from the side of... Oh no, he only gets 2 from it. He gets a double kill, but he does go down for his troubles. That does stop the Baron. Lord Goldlock went in for the hero play right there. Everything lands onto Falcon, who is just outputting so much damage. He does not get the return kill on Scamander. Red health bars across the board for the side of Pegasus, but they do stop the Baron play and pick up a hefty amount of kills for their troubles.
It doesn't look like they're going to try to retake it. They're just clearing out vision, getting the scuttler, and then backing.
Yeah, and however, that does give them all the pressure. It looked like Dorado was starting to make their comeback into the game as Rasmussen overstays maybe for his red buff. Danish Dragon does not decide to follow it up. But it looked like they were sort of getting their way back into the game through objective play. And that Baron play seemed way too forced. The gold advantage now does swing in the favor of blue side. Pegasus finally sort of pulling ahead despite their heavy kill lead.
That's right, we were talking about how they do not want to lose another game. They haven't been able to perform very well this split, and so they're really looking to win this. They're very emotional, they're very motivated, and the question is, will Dorado be able to answer that energy and take it from them?
Yeah, and if they get their first win of the split, who knows, that moral boost could be all it takes for Pegasus to really turn the split around for themselves. Only week 3 in, but Light Moonery and Kyle still just having fun in whatever lane they go to, scrapping it out. But yeah, Pegasus, a win here would be huge for them. Force not only the game 3, but also turn away their losing record in this league.
It looks like they're just sticking together, trying to push in a lane, get good farm, while Ornn stays bot to answer the Yorick split push.
Yeah, and it looks like Ornn is very pivotal in these team fights. We see him having to engage them with the Call of the Forge God, but now that he is completely left alone with Light Moonery, who has just been farming up all game, it might be a completely different story because he's forced the 4v4, and this is exactly what Dorado want. Kyle cannot do anything with it. He does die. Power Grid gets absolutely blown up. However, it looks like the 4v4 is not what they want whatsoever. The Void Seeker picks up the kill on Olaf. That is a double kill for the Gold Lock on Kai'Sa. 10-1 and 2. 4-1-10 on Scamander. The AoE long range is actually being so useful for them right now, and they start the Baron of their own right now.
So it looks like Light Moonery knows that, and he's going to be trying to take out the inhibitor by wiping out this tower as fast as he can. He has the Maiden there, and he has his Demolish. He should be able to get a lot of damage down.
Powered recalls are coming through though. They're just going to catch up to him before he can get the inhibitor. He's forced to run away with just the tower. Obviously, as best of a trade as he could get, but it's really, what can blue side do with this Baron from here?
Well, now they can begin to answer the Yorick split push. He's been able to take out 2 of their tier 2 towers, whereas Pegasus hasn't been able to take out any, but now they should be able to even that up some.
Yeah, it really has been the Yorick who's taken a majority of these towers in that big number 6 that they have. Scamander is aggressed onto the Binding Lance. This could be really bad for them, but they do not have the follow-up. Rasmussen was just not in the area close enough. He decided to focus his attention onto the Dragon. We're just seeing skill shots flying left, right, and center, but none quite landing to force that all-important team fight.
That's right, but Dorado is going to be looking to take away some of those Baron buffs. So I imagine they're going to be playing very aggressive to try and pick up a kill.
Yeah, and if Dorado are able to pick up a kill, not only do they remove that Baron buff, they also swing it back into their, side court. Because right now it's just been so back and forth in the gold, and that is really what is so impactful in these team fights. Who has that item advantage? And it's looking so even right now, despite the heavy kill advantage. That for blue side, there is the massive tower lead for red, thanks to that Yorick. So really, it's down to a case of which has the stronger teamfighting composition. It looks like they don't need to teamfight when Scamander can absolutely blow up the Yorick. No questions asked. As Kyle is now leading the charge, possibly looking for a call of the Forge God, does get rooted and not quite trapped out. But Falcon is nowhere safe as Scamander picks up another one for himself. They can't get close to him. The call of the Forge God does finally come out. It looks like Zara may be caught out, but there's nothing that they can really do about it. Lord Godlock does go very deep, but there's nothing to stop him being there right now. His team is there to back him up. He lands the W onto Lolocon Lulu, decides to take the ultimate in, and it looks like this is all for nothing as Dorado will get nothing. And the Lord Godlock will pick up another kill. They're just being absolutely pushed out right now. This looks to be the first win for Pegasus. They can take the W here. The respawn timer is closest for Caitlyn. But right now, what can they do under all this pressure? Light Moonery is going to try and do something of a miracle as everything is being used straight in the center. So much concentrated damage. Kyle is forced right out. It looks like they are actually going to do something. The respawn timer from Caitlyn was the vital part. As in comes the Echo. He has the ultimate available, but he is slowed down by that Glacial Augment. And it looks like they will stay to live another day.
Not only them, but also one of their Nexus turrets was brought down incredibly low to 550 health, but they managed to keep it alive, kept that great defense that they have against these super minions coming in, and this might give them a chance to re-engage on top of Pegasus.
Yeah, and it looks like Caitlyn is going to be the saving grace, if anything. The damage output is huge right now. Has hit the, actually gone for the Shiv over the Rapid Fire Cannon for that AoE damage in these team fights. But the Storm Razor is there, and it looks like the Lifesteal will be as well. Going for that consistent AoE, going for that sustainability on the Caitlyn, whereas a very typical Kai'Sa AD build has been taken as outputting incredible damage.
That's right, the Kai'Sa, especially her Q, is able to deal a lot of damage to a lot of people very quickly, and that also her ultimate allows her to engage on top of a team very quickly if she has someone who can go in and initiate the start for her.
Yeah, definitely. As the W from the Kai'Sa, the Void Seeker does land on Falcon, doing a hefty amount of damage, but that Vamp Scepter is in play, will lifesteal it back up. Looks like either team is just looking to force a team fight right now.
It's interesting to look at the junglers right now. Danish Dragon is 0-4-7, whereas Rasmussen is 1-5-6.
Oh, Rasmussen is actually going to get Killer Instinct. He will throw down the Unstoppable Walkway. That is a lot of cooldowns down for blue side. This could be the opening that Dorado need. There is no Killer Instinct. There is no laser. What is it that they can do? It looks like right now they're still just going to take the beating of towers. There's no Baron buff currently up, but it looks like it does not matter as red side cannot answer it regardless of what blue side do. Call of the Forge God does go wide as they look like they're just going to try and take the tower here. The double root does go down, but that is Danish Dragon caught out by the stun and he will go down. He does throw down the ultimate from Gleck. The big AoE comes through as, oh, into the backline goes the Echo. He will pick up the kill and then Convergence his way, oh, Time Breaker, I believe, his way out of that. As it looks like Red Side Goddess didn't want to take the full team fight, will take those 2 kills and run away with them, take the gold. Better luck next time.
So hopefully they can begin to push a lane, maybe take an objective. It'd be nice. I mean, all the towers are pushed up. There's only 1 tier 2 left, and then there's 2 inhibitor towers, and 1 inhib is open. So they won't be able to make that push right now, but hopefully they'll be looking to begin making that transition to go back onto the offensive. They've been playing defensively for the past 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and small windows of opportunities that Red Side are getting are keeping them in the gold game. The towers have now swung from their advantage back into Pegasus's pocket, as there's now a 7-6, but Light Moonery is still fancying his chances despite the massive minion wave from Kyle. It looks like this is just going to be a straight up brawl. The Conqueror is doing so much damage. Kyle was not expecting that or respecting it, as he just gets absolutely destroyed by the true damage coming through, as well as 100 CS advantage. The Sheen procs coming through in full force, and now Light Moonery is going to open up so much pressure for his team. They lose the Infernal Drake, but will it be tide changing? We already know that this Kaiser and Vel'Koz are doing lots of damage, but can they capitalize even further now, as Light Moonery is starting to open up a way into this game?
And it looks like they may be setting up for Baron here as well. At least they're getting vision onto it.
Yeah, and if they get that Baron, either side with Baron right now looks like it will spell out the game. As Pegasus are well aware of this, throw down every sweeper ward they have to make sure that they know what's going on, as they send Goldlock to deal with that. They know Goldlock isn't available. They're going to try and force the fight onto Scamander, who is just keeping them at bay with all of this CC. The ultimate does come through onto Light Moonery, who's now dropping solo. Goldlock goes into the 1v4 regardless. He is going to be taken out very soon by Power Greek. Actually, the ace in the hole picks it up as Danish Dragon is getting rooted up. Gleck is now in a position of trouble as Scamander is trying to do something from the side, but Power Greek is still there, throws down the ultimate as Flash from Falcon picks up the kill on Scamander. That is huge. They have no carries this game. Kyle is now the one left behind, and this is Dorado turning this straight back around. Very aggressive positioning coming in from the carries of blue side. They are going to pay for it, and it looks like Dorado can maybe even push this down onto a tower. There is still the Baron available. Blue side don't look like in a position to contest it, but actually Dorado going for the aggressive early play. They don't want to wait it out. They're going to go for the inhibitor and go for the game.
That's right. This is a guaranteed inhibitor. There's nothing that can be done to stop that. And the question is, how far will they be able to do beyond that? They have a lot of minions on their side, but the Zyra is able to clear it out so fast.
Yeah, they had all those minions. It was looking so good for them, but now they've overstayed as all of them respawn at the same time, and in comes Lord Goldlock with all that advantage in gold he has. 13-2 and looking for more. Power Greek is walking away with minimal of mana, and there was just a constant tone of overstaying in this game. They did not go for the Baron. They did not go for the safer win condition. They went for the aggression one, the aggressive one, I apologize. But Zyra's wave clear was pivotal in that moment.
Absolutely. Looks like they've cleared out vision on Baron. They may be looking to do that in the future if they win the next fight. But and there's a little bit of a disconnect and reconnect, so we're going to be having a pause while that is sorted out.
Yeah, it looks like it will be on the... I assume Scamander in that mid lane has been sitting in base, but the Baron has been started by blue side. And really, this is anyone's game right now. This is far closer than game one. It looks like Pegasus have come out swinging with a completely different team composition. Scamander's turned his score from 0 to 100 across 2 games. And we will be going through a pause. We will take a slight break in the meantime so that we can catch our thoughts, but it looks like anything could happen. Oh! Never mind, I stand corrected. They're going straight into the ready. No break required. No break on the action train on this one. Getting unpaused shortly, as it looks like Yorick is the only one so far to catch a whiff of what's going on at Baron. It is started by 3 people, as Ornn and Scamander sit at base, but it is being shredded regardless by the Kai'Sa. It looks like they're going to go in for the steal. The smite is coming through. It is stolen by red team. They take it. That's huge. That is a huge advantage for them. They run them down. Gleck is now the one to go down. The ultimate comes through from Scamander, doing a lot of damage, but that is not enough for Moonery, except the ultimate comes through from Kai'Sa, who is completely untouched. The Kyle does come through with the teleport as Lolicon Lulu is the next target. He throws down the W, which means he cannot complete the ultimate, but honestly that does not matter. The Baron steal was savior, but the team fight to follow was not, as the key priority targets stay alive perfectly fine, throw down their ultimates at the best possible time, and unfortunately it looks like this might well be game for Dorado. Or against Dorado for Pegasus.
That's right. If they don't manage to stop their push here, it looks like Nexus might be taken out, because we have the first Nexus turret already gone.
Oh, Scamander goes down.
Malfrost.
That is huge. The ultimate comes through from Power Greek, the Chrono Break as well. And that is another case of just not respecting enemy damage when you're in their base. There is now inhibitors down on both sides. Both teams have that defensive requirement right now. Just no team seems to be able to close it out.
That's right. It's just a back and forth smack fest right here. And it's really just a matter of which one can create an advantage for themselves and really push it forward. Right now, the only ones with Baron buff left are Caitlyn and Echo on the side of Dorado. So they're going to be looking to open up something. It looks like Echo's going to be going top lane and possibly taking out that inhibitor turret.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a bit of a disconnect in the blue side. Sometimes they just constantly are sending someone to a side wave, or they're not quite all on the same page on if they want to do this push or not. And they need to start getting on that page together, because right now they are just constantly getting this close and not quite succeeding. They say the saying of close but no cigar. It is close but no nexus for either side right now. What is needed to close out?
Well, pretty soon we're going to be getting the Elder Dragon, and the Elder Dragon is going to be pretty important for them. Whoever manages to get it will have a great advantage and might be able to push it towards endgame.
Yeah, and it will look like there's actually the Infernal Drake and the Ocean of difference between the two teams. It'll be a case of which one of them is going to be more useful. It looks like Infernal getting that empowerment from an Elder Drake will be huge. Kyle is stopped in his tracks, and Danish Dragon throws down the ultimate early. Does not have that available anymore. The Void Seeker does negligible damage to Moonery, and really both teams are just so on edge right now.
That's right. Whoever makes the first mistake loses, and whoever realizes the other team has made a mistake wins right here.
Yeah, and it's turned into a bit of an ARAM. Both waves on either side of the map are currently completely frozen. Maybe a slight advantage for red on the bot side. Otherwise, you know, it's very close. The mid lane, however, we have to point out is where the inhibitor is down for red side, which means they're, you know, there to clear the wards. But in bot lane, they can't. Oh, everything misses from Scamander. That could be huge, but it does not matter as the ultimate is enough damage. That is the first kill going over to blue side. That is the second kill as Lord Godlock picks up one, and that is the resurrection coming through from Caitlyn, but it does not look like it will be enough. Greek throws down his E onto the wrong target. That is 2 quick kills. There is almost no way that on his own Moonery can save this one. This is 5 people barreling it down in mid lane, as the wall does buy some time, but it should all be for nothing. This should finally be the game. So they send Shyvana back just to make sure that those super minions get nothing out of it, and that is the Maiden down and gone. The tower being focused by this commander, and we will be taken to a game 3.
That's right. So what we were seeing there was a very good sight from Pegasus. They realized their mistakes. They realized where they messed up at the beginning, and a lot of that was they just didn't perform as well in lane, and they answered every lane as well as they could, getting a Zyra for more damage instead of an Alistar, getting an Ornn so he doesn't have to leave lane and can properly answer the Yorick, getting a Vel'Koz for better damage in the mid lane really paid off for them.
Yeah, and with that being said, we are now we just witnessed the first win coming in for Pegasus. Do you have an MVP before we quickly throw it over to a break, before we get into the decisive game 3?
I'm going to have to say that I'm going to say Kai'Sa, because Kai'Sa was able to really show up that game. Goldlick, he was really able to go in and properly engage on people. He wasn't really able to last game. And he went up against the exact same team comp. He went up against the Caitlyn and the Morgana, but this time he was able to pull ahead.
Yeah, and with that being said, we will quickly throw over to a game 3. We'll see you very shortly, or break, and then game 3. I'm already getting excited about it. We will see you very shortly. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the decisive game 3. We are here in the Serenity Gaming Wintersplit Division 2 Week 3 deciding game between Serenity Gaming, Pegasus and Dorado, with Pegasus picking up not only their first win of the split, but their first game of this series just last game. We will shortly getting into the champion select. I am still Quee, and with me is still Litzy, as we will blitz through champion select and get straight into the action of game 3.
Right, and let's also talk a little bit about what we saw last time and what we expect to see coming through this time around. I'm wondering if we're going to see the Yorick again, because it seems like that Pegasus has sort of figured out the answer to it. They're playing around it better now, and although it still was a good showing from Light Moonery, it wasn't quite as strong.
Yeah, and we say that Yorick forces a 4v4 in the game. If you win that 4v4, then you do not mind having it forced upon you. And that's exactly what happened with the Kai'Sa pick and the Vel'Koz. The AoE and guaranteed damage coming through was just so impactful that the 4v4 quote-unquote advantage that Yorick made did not matter, because Scamander and Lord Godlock put an absolute clinic in carrying that game. And you know, maybe seeing that Yorick come through again, see it with varying levels of success in this series. It'll be interesting to see if they try and plan around it, or if it's even ever picked again. Because we saw Dorado do the same draft pretty much word for word 2 times in a row. It will be interesting to see if they try it a third time and play it a bit differently, or if they finally say, okay, it worked once, let's not try it again.
Right, because it seems like Pegasus did a very good job of answering that composition. They realized the mistakes that they had made, and I think that if Dorado chose the exact same comp, they would have a difficult time, because Pegasus has their number now.
Yeah, Pegasus went from looking a bit meek in the first game, really had some trouble getting anything done with their composition, whereas now they have forced a composition last game, heavily prioritizing Engage, and you know, that worked out so well for them. That is where they really shone in that game. So it'll be interesting to see if anything happens, you know, for differently on Dorado. All we've seen so far today is the same thing. Force a 4v4, try to win it with that mid lane assassin and Caitlyn, but now we've seen that it's actually vulnerable. There is something to beat it. What are they going to try and resort to? What are their possible picks outside of it?
Well, Light Moonery does have a lot of champions up his sleeve. He might be pulling out the Scion or possibly a Garen, and the Scion is something that I'd like to see. Also on the side of Danish Dragon, he has the Jax pick in his pocket. I'd really like to see him possibly pull that out. And for going back to Dorado, I think that maybe focusing on a later carry game. I know that Falcon has a lot of Jinx and the Kai'Sa experience, maybe taking away Kai'Sa from Pegasus and playing it themselves, or playing that Jinx could be a good answer for them.
Yeah, and not to diminish on any of that, but we will quickly be going into a break. We will be in Champion Select any second, but we are just being held up by a few extraneous variables. And we will be back very shortly to bring you all the action of this deciding game. Do not go anywhere. We will be back very shortly.
Ja, det vil jeg heller ikke nu.
Ja.
Right, and with that being said, our quick break is over. We are going straight back into Champion Select. And let's see, we have already started straight off the bat with Braum 3 games in a row, Syndra 3 games in a row, gone.
That's right, and it's interesting to see what else is going to be pulled out. There's the Kassadin being banned and the Xayah again.
This is just becoming second nature for these teams. It's the same thing. Xin gone, Braum gone, Kassa gone, Syndra gone, Xayah gone. And if we see this sixth ban come through, it will be an absolute repeat of last game. There it is. Skarn, all 6 for 6. 2 games in a row, nearly 3. Is that Morgana first picked again? But for Pegasus.
Taking away the Morgana from Lolicon is going to be pretty interesting. I wonder how she's going to respond to that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I thought, oh, alright, that's Morgana insta-locked for Lolicon again, but no, it's not. Pegasus, without hesitation, take that away from her as their own first pick. We're actually gonna see a big shake-up from this, because this changes so much of what Dorado's previous compositions were about. And as I say that, a complete 180 turn on the support. Pick up a Leona.
And this is what I was talking about before. I'm betting it's not going to be a Caitlyn again. It's going to be either a Jinx or a Kai'Sa. And that would make sense with a Leona.
Yeah, but the Leona does get picked into the Morgana, knowing fully well what they were getting into. There is a bit of a counter to that in that Leona's very, you know, you can see exactly where she plans to go in, which is very useful for a Morgana with that Black Shield. But you are right in the Kai'Sa picked up as Pegasus steal the composition alongside an Ornn.
That's interesting. Taking away that composition, they've essentially changed sides, which is interesting because on that last one, they actually managed to win against that composition. And so I'm wondering if Dorado was planning on playing that again and they got stolen from them, or if it's just sort of a coincidence that Pegasus is now playing what Dorado was playing last 2 games.
You know, with that insta-lock on Morgana, it almost seems like it was completely planned to a T what they were doing. It is interesting that they took the Caitlyn alongside it. Obviously works very well, but as does other champions like Jhin, for example, work very well with the Morgana. Just any ADC with that reliability to follow up on CC is very strong. And LeBlanc, speaking of very strong, it could be lethal in the hands of this assassin mid lane player.
Absolutely. There is a lot of experience that Power Greek has on the LeBlanc. That's one of his most played heroes, and so I'm interested to see what is going to be coming out from that.
Yeah, it's almost interesting to see, having even seen the Echo last game whilst the LeBlanc was still open then. And they also ban out the Lissandra, one of those key counters to a champion like LeBlanc or Akali, just because of that point and click CC. That's now off the board, as well as Yorick.
And with Pegasus they're hovering the Nocturne ban, trying to keep down that heavy engage, that heavy dive, they're probably going to be playing the more slow anti-dive, lots of damage, group up, team fighting composition.
Yeah, and really, can you blame them? The last couple games have been such, you know, constant clutters and fights and skirmishes. They want to therefore capitalize on how the enemy team are going to be playing, which is aggressive. Both sides will be playing aggressive. The Garen is just adding to that even further. If you know what the enemy team's playstyle is like, pick against it. Pick something that can win a really early and, you know, devastating skirmish. And that LeBlanc, Garen, Leona, all of that just ticks all of those boxes.
That's right. With Garen's silence, that is very powerful against Ornn, keeping him from using Bellows Breath on him if it is timed correctly, and also keeping him from escaping with the charge.
Yeah, and the Shyvana coming through again for Danish Dragon. Obviously, I don't think it's really fair to say Shyvana was the reason they won last game, but it was effective in messing with the jungler in Rasmussen's pathing. Really got in the way of everything, kept showing up in his jungle for better or worse, really disorientated him, and we're gonna have to see what the follow-up pick is. Rasmussen has fallen back on Olaf 3 games in a row, but 2 games in a row, sorry, maybe make it a third. Sejuani instead. The Olaf was open, but he does not care. That is a tanky ball just to assist this LeBlanc and Kaiser even more.
And with that, Malzahar also as the last pick on the side of Pegasus is going to be pretty interesting. There's really only 2 squishy targets for Malzahar to attack with Kai'Sa and LeBlanc, but that is an incredible counter against LeBlanc. As soon as LeBlanc teleports in and gets that damage, there is an ult, and if LeBlanc doesn't pay that Malz tax, it's going to be a big problem for him.
Yeah, and another thing that Malzahar does really well with LeBlanc is you might not think of this as so huge, but LeBlanc, when he makes that clone, the original will have the Malefic Visions follow it outside of the invisibility. So it's just a real case of once you have that ER on LeBlanc, there's really no way she can try to trickster her way out of it. That will be her death if she's caught out of position. But on the other hand, she does have things to help back her up. A lot of engage coming in from Dorado to help her out. And this looks like a very, I still want to say explosive. That's been the last 2 games, but that is all that can really be describing the play style that these 2 teams have. And with these 2 compositions now locked in, and before we need to get to a break, what are your thoughts going into this one?
Well, once again, this is a very mistake-heavy game. There's a lot of things that can go wrong here. Morgana can miss a binding, Sejuani can miss her ultimate, LeBlanc can go in and get caught out by Malzahar. There's a lot that can go wrong on both sides, and whichever team makes sure that their stuff doesn't go wrong and they capitalize on what the other team does wrong, then that is where we're going to see the victory today.
Yeah, and with that being said, you're always welcome in Twitch chat to voice your own opinions. Who will be taking home the Game 3 and this series? Are we going to see Pegasus with the upset, or Dorado come back to their winning ways? Regardless, we will be back to you very shortly. Litzy and I will be taking a short break, and we'll get back to you when game gets going.
Tonight I'm coming out the shadows. Long time coming, gonna get what's mine. I'm here standing at the it's my turn. 'Cause I'm a blade in the darkness. I'm a bullet in the gun, that's me. My heart, it beats like a bass drum. Come and let me get some. Never gonna back down, never gonna break, won't bend. Now, tonight there's gonna be a showdown. Tonight there's gonna be war. This is what we came for. The victor, the champion. I'll be the last one standing. The raging, the glory. Tonight they'll write my story down. Time goes by in a moment. Can't blink now, only got one shot. It's all on me, gonna own it. Running to the top now, I won't stop. 'Cause I'm a blade in the darkness. I'm a bullet in the gun, that's me. My heart, it beats like a bass drum. Come and let me get some. Never gonna back down, never gonna break, won't bend. Now, tonight there's gonna be a showdown. Tonight there's gonna be war. This is what we came for. The victor, the champion. I'll be the last one standing. The raging, the glory. Tonight they'll write my story down. They'll write my story. Tonight they'll write my story down. Tonight they'll write my story. Tonight they'll never gonna back down, never gonna break, won't bend. Now, tonight there's gonna be a showdown. Tonight there's gonna be war. This is what we came for. The victor, the champion. I'll be the last one standing. The raging, the glory. Tonight they'll write my story down. Tonight they'll write my story down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last game to grace your screens tonight. We are in, of course, week 3 of Division 2 here in the Serenity Gaming Wintersplit. I am, as always, Kui, and I am, as always, joined by the Litzy. And we have got an exciting series for you. If you have not already seen them, these games will, of course, be on demand. In fact, right now, if you want to see them right now, but of course, you want to see the action unfold live for Game 3. But be sure to catch those that you haven't, as we have got an explosive series coming to a spearhead here, as we look to see who can take the series and see if, you know, from having 0 wins, Pegasus can turn it into a whole series win.
That's right. Pegasus, they really figured out what they did wrong the first game, and they corrected that in the second game. It was incredibly close, but they still managed to come out ahead. And in the end, it really could have gone either way, but in that final team fight, they pulled it out. There were some great plays on both sides, but in the end, it was Pegasus, and this could break their streak. They're very emotional right now. They really want to stop their losing streak.
Yeah, and we're seeing a slight scuffle in the top laners as the grasps are procced from both sides. Obviously, Garen's passive will completely negate any damage he takes there. But you were saying that Pegasus will be emotional, and I think that is honestly the case for both teams. Dorado had such a strong showing in game 1, then to come into game 2 and put up such a good fight but still fall short really means that they have to buck up their ideas and come into this one swinging like they were the first time around. And Pegasus have to ride the momentum into a third game win. So really everything is on the line for these two teams. They really want to, show that they can win, decisively either way. And it's going to be a very close one for sure, as we're seeing a complete shake-up in Dorado's, champions. From the first two games, picking almost the exact same two compositions, to suddenly switching it up and having, for example, Lolicon go from a double Morgana game into the Leona. So much can happen here. So much engage. Really looking forward to it.
And it looks like both junglers started red, and they aren't really looking for too much engage except for Rasmussen. He's just making sure he gets the scuttler straight away and then going to his blue, and he skipped over getting his wolves, so he just went red, scuttler, blue, just to make sure it didn't get invaded, because in the first game we saw the enemy jungler Danish Dragon get a 3 buff start.
Yeah, and Danish Dragon has actually had the early game jungling prowess over the Rasmussen. As we've seen 2 games in a row, he really was in the face of the Olaf. But now we're seeing a complete shake-up. The bot lane has completely flipped from Dorado having the Caitlyn Morgana in both games 1 and 2 to suddenly have Pegasus taking the reins of these two champions and looking to do a very strong admirable job in it right now, having done quite a bit of damage and forcing a good shove on their wave.
But it looks like Falcon and Lolicon are no stranger to these champions, and so far they're holding their own in the lane.
Oh, but the early gank in mid lane comes down to Scamander, who was really bullied out in game 1, trying to repeat the process, will flash his way to safety. And, as I just said, in game 1, it really was Scamander falling behind early that snowballed the victory for Dorado. It was the mid laner in Power Creek who carried it that one time, and now he's looking to do it again. The pressure in mid lane completely warranted.
I think they're looking to get a shutdown on him before he hits level 6. That's why they had such an early gank on him, because we were just talking about how much he's going to counter LeBlanc once he does hit that 6.
Yeah, and in the bot lane, just complete fearlessness from red side, as they know they win this through aggression with the Black Shield available to completely negate any counter engage. Meanwhile, Kyle running very low on mana just to keep up in farm, whilst Garen is just happily sitting full HP, spamming all of his abilities as a Garen does.
Looks like he's even trying to stop the buy there, and he's just farming up, and currently he does have a little bit of a CS lead. Hopefully, if he plays this correctly, he's going to be able to extend that lead further.
Yeah, for sure, and we're going to be seeing, I think what will really interest me is the gold difference once we hit around the 10 to 15 minute mark. Because in game 1 it was hugely in the favor of Dorado, whereas in game 2 it was pretty much equal. And it's really going to be a case, maybe if we can see a complete mirror and see a very symmetrical effect and see if Pegasus take the gold lead early. And right now with the pressure in bot lane, it doesn't look unlikely as the Flash is forced away from Leona very early.
That's right. They're going to be looking for a decisive win here. If they manage to do it, it really shows that they aren't just a team that lost than won. They analyzed, they figured out what they were doing wrong, what the other team was doing right. And if they can sort of get that true reverse sweep, that'll be very encouraging for them moving forward in the division.
Yeah, but you have to give some credit to Falcon. He has kept up very well in farm despite the less than, optimal situation that they've put in bot lane with Leona's flash down and all pressure for Pegasus. Falcon is managing to keep up in farm. As we've said, highest ranked player in the game, but obviously that does not signify a game. As the level 6 is in top lane, this looks to be a kill once he hits that ultimate, but doesn't choose to go for it.
That's right, and there isn't a whole lot happening except that Ornn was forced to back here through a combination of not having health nor mana. So Light Moonery has done a very good job there, forcing the Ornn out of lane, forcing him to back, because that's something that Ornn, if he's played very well, doesn't have to do.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that went so well for Kyle last game, is that his whole problem of being forced away by a Yorick was completely countered when he never had to go back himself. Really nullified the Yorick's effects in lane, but obviously versus a Garen, that's completely changed up, and we're seeing, Moonery almost win like 3 lanes in a row, and now actually doing it on 2 different champions as well, with a very nice nearly 20 CS advantage, despite having just gone back as well. As this Scamander, very low on mana, does get double chained up as well as ignited. Power Greek completely fancies this, nothing for Scamander to stop him. The last auto attack does come through. Power Greek repeats game 1, gets the early solo kill in mid, and if this is anything like that casting game, we can see a high KDA coming in for him very shortly.
That's right, LeBlanc is one of those champions where once she starts getting ahead, she is incredibly difficult to deal with. She just has so much mobility, and she can fake out whenever she is getting caught out. She can survive through trickery and magic tricks and whatnot, and in a way sleight of hand, which is very in tune with her character design.
Yeah, for sure, and we have seen Power Greek do very well with leads in the past, and if he can just keep repeating that, he will show that he is a force to be reckoned with in the mid lane, not only, in these games themselves, but outside of this series. He will be seen as a mid laner who is able to put up a fight. And like Moonery, we talk about him being a substitute coming in and replacing, I'm going to remember this name if it kills me, but he is a substitute coming in, and it looks like he might be able to get this down. He still has Marcy and Justice available, again, just not quite in that range. Kyle, however, does miss Call of the Forge God, as well as missing the W. Light Moonery has the ultimate available. He's not going to be able to throw it down just yet. It looks like Shyvana will come in time. He ults Shyvana. Light Moonery just not quite getting the chances to throw down the Damascene Justice when he would like to. And it looks like Kyle, just with these shields and with the pure dashing around the place with the Searing Charge, is going to be able to bait out a free gank for Shyvana.
That's right, Shyvana has just such a huge hitbox, it was hard to tell which part was Ornn and which part was her, and that means they're going to be able to get some free damage on this tower, except that, I take it back, Light Moonery has TP'd in to save it.
Yeah, he is going to save that. Obviously the damage is less than optimal, but in bot lane, speaking of less than optimal, there is a gank coming through from Rasmussen. Lolicon Lulu will not hit the stun, but the stun does come through from the ultimate on Rasmussen. Falcon takes the Killer Instinct, but is currently being aggressed. Low Goldlock does not have the damage to finalize anything. TP is being completed by Kyle. He will miss the charge lookup. He is now left on his own, left Garen on his own in top lane without getting anything in return. Rasmussen is going to just stun him up, and in goes Lolicon Lulu, nearly under tower. Actually might die for this. There's one last Q coming through. Will not quite do enough damage, but Danish Dragon is here to try and finalize it. Carl goes back in, does not hit a knockup, however. Falcon is now in a 3v1 even. It's Danish Dragon who's got the odds against him. He will not pick up a kill. Falcon lives with a slither of life, and as again we see from game 1 and 2, there's just so many instances of running in on your own.
That's right, that was a very good show from Dorado there. They just stayed in the fight. They didn't try to get away when they didn't really need to. They knew that they could win, and they just kept on hitting. The Kaisa able to do an incredible amount of damage with her passive, and eventually coming out on top just barely.
Yeah, she does live with this, just a blinking red health bar, but really, what does it matter when, in the end, everything goes in favor of Dorado. 2-0 on the Kaiser despite the farm deficit. The Sejuani comes in at the right time, but it looks like Sejuani, now with the silence, in comes Dragon's Descent from Danish Dragon. The flash comes in from Rasmussen straight into his team. The flash does come through in response. Will the Malefic Visions be enough? The Aerie does proc, and it does aggro onto the Raptors, who will get the kill for Scamander, who gets his 1-1 in return.
That was pretty unfortunate there for Rasmussen, but it really isn't that big of a deal. He had a great gank down bot lane, which has put him ahead. So he isn't really feeling too much pain there.
Yeah, and speaking of his ahead bot lane, they pick up first tower. Wait, no, the other bot lane pick up first tower despite the lead on the Kaiser. The Caitlyn shove is just so strong with that headshot. And it's a tower advantage on red side, kill advantage on blue. Nothing new for us here. We saw this in last game. However, last game it was actually the kills that reigned supreme, not the towers. So if there's any sort of correlation going on here, we might see a red victory still, but blue victory. But red still holding up their own. Looks like all their deficits are sort of being covered with. The losing bot lane have managed to pick up first tower. You know, the solo killed once mid, does manage to get something in return. As Danish Dragon caught out once again, does not have Dragon's Descent available. However, the root does come down to Leona. CC'd for a lifetime. Gleck picks up that kill with the Aerie proc. And now it looks like Rasmussen is running for his life. Pegasus do not want to take any safe routes despite being behind. The chain does land onto the AD carry, but Power Greek not able to finish up with the stun. And it looks like now there's just a scuffle around Dragon.
That was a pretty good fight on the side of Pegasus.
But the stun does come through onto both mid laners as we see a fight down and bot lane. Dragon's Descent does come through, but Danish Dragon is solo. Can Falcon pick up a kill? No, he does not, as Flash coming in from Danish Dragon picks up a kill for himself. As a nifty little killer instinct from Kaiser will weave round to the back and run away through the jungle safely as Light Moonery. It's just grasp procking in top lane. Nothing too out of the usual, just grasp for grasp as Ocean Drake is taken by Pegasus.
The main thing to see top lane is how far ahead Light Moonery is in farm. It's 110 to 74. We were talking about there. He is being incredibly aggressive and making sure that Kyle needs to back if he wants to survive. And that is allowing Light Moonery to stay ahead in farm.
Yeah, and that's sort of what's keeping the gold, you know, slightly up for blue side, because otherwise 2 towers down, they are 2k behind, as well as losing farm in mid and top. It's down on Light Moonery to be the one sort of applying all the pressure in this game, and he is doing a very good job of that. But on the other hand, Ornn, you can't keep a good Ornn down. Ornn is always going to be this very relevant presence in team fights with Call of the Forge God, and that reliability. So really, it looks like it has to say that red side's sort of in the driving seat right now, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, but I will say that I think that Dorado has a better scaling comp with the Leona, Kai'Sa, and the LeBlanc.
Yeah, and really it's a battle of the tanks afterwards, as well as Gleck does get double sigiled. The chain does not quite land. He walks away with his life. Power Greek constantly throwing out this ultimate ability, not able to pick anything up. And he's always just shy of that final blow.
That's right. As he gets more items, hopefully he can deal just a little bit more damage and follow up on those openings that he creates for himself. And it looks like we've had a bit of a swap down in the bot lane with Ornn and Garen down there. And it looks like top tower is going to be sieged.
Yeah, and however, there is an answer from blue side. The ultimate comes in, and the ultimate as well from Falcon. Killer Instinct goes in. He's on his own. He goes for the flash forward, but he's taking so much damage from Caitlyn in response. He can't quite get the last hit. He's not in range. That short range AD carry has proved to be a problem, as in comes Gleck from the side, as well as all the chain CC coming down onto blue. Gleck now fancying his chances onto Lollicon Lulu. If he lands his bind, it could evolve into something else, but it does not. And Lord Goldlock, counting his lucky stars, gets out of that one alive.
Yeah, he just barely made it out of there. And, you know, he didn't try to lay down traps. That would have slowed him down, and he would have died if he had tried to do that. And he knew, I just need to run away as fast as I can. because as soon as Kai'Sa's movement speed comes back up, I'm dead. Luckily, she managed to get under tower, and then Gleck was able to come in and land a great binding to finish up the kill on Kai'Sa.
Yeah, now we're just seeing Light Moonery's farm advantage really come to fruition as he is just whacking on Kyle with that big great sword. Not able to do anything in response. 1Q ult should be it. There is the flash in response. There's the ultimate straight through the shield. No questions asked. Solo kill for Light Moonery. Finally, all his patience is paying off as once again the siege goes down on the top tower. No Sejuani to stop them this time. That is a clean tower for red side.
That's right. So I think that Dorado needs to get some vision down on Rift Herald, because once Sejuani comes back up, I think that might be on, or never mind, once Sejuani is finished in mid lane, that may be on the table. We've seen a lot of Rift Herald plays happen, lots of stuff happen around that gigantic scuttle crab. So it'll be interesting to see if any fights revolve around that, or if they'll just let it go through to Baron.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to already see some objective-based focus here. Dorado setting up potentially a death trap. However, Morgana and Shyvana just aren't quite buying it. As, oh no, they do start to walk forward, go for the control, but 2v2, they don't fancy their chances, as well as Killen coming down from the side, and Malzahar potentially being available for the pinch. But Rasmussen misses the flail into the swing. They do actually start the Rift Herald, despite there being a lot of pressure around from the enemy side. Kai'Sa's on the side, Lolokon Lulu is just looking for the engage potential. Scamander coming in from the side as well, does not hit the silence. Red side will just force them away from this and pick it up completely cleanly with the zoning potential.
I think that we're going to have to see some QSS items start coming up here, especially with Mercurial Scimitar, because that combo from the Caitlyn Morgana just keeps them rooted for so long. Combine that with Malzahar's ultimate, there isn't a whole lot that can be done about those if you can't break that CC.
Yeah, for sure, and it definitely looks like lockdown is going to be the point of this game. We're seeing glacial prisons, dark bindings landing and being pivotal in ensuing team fights. It's really going to be a focus on them to really solidify a lead into a victory. Remember, this is of course game 3 if you're just joining us, and the high score of 1-1, the early lead for Dorado, but there is a wave of momentum for Pegasus as they look to take their first win into the series.
That's right, they haven't had a great showing this division.
There's actually a team fight starting as Dragon's Descent comes down straight into the ultimate from the Malzahar, not wasting any time with that, picks up the free kill onto Leona, forcing all pressure away from themselves. Kyle, however, being an absolute nuisance to Power Greek, who is just not Wing the wall. He will go down to Danish Dragon with that Dragon's Breath, and now it looks like Garen might be in a spot of bother, but he does have the defensive W ability, just granting him so many resistances, unable to kill him quite yet. And now it just looks like red side are just forcing them off every objective. Anytime blue side like, hey, can we get a piece of this? That's like, nope, we are going to force you right away and take what we want, what is rightfully ours.
And there's the Rift Herald coming down, so they will be able to take this tower. There is not much that Rasmussen and Light Moonery can do to stop that. And so they just give that tower up. The question is, what will they be able to do on this second tower?
Yeah, Rift Herald goes down very soon, but that could be a pivotal binding onto the ADC. There's just not enough conclusive follow-up, I say that, but the bind into the trap, that is just killed from a distance and nothing you do about it. We're seeing a complete symmetrical series right now. We are seeing the flash ultimate come down onto Greek, still has the W available, will hop his way out. Game 1 we saw Dorado take a decisive victory, we saw a close game 2, and now we're seeing a decisive third game from the latter in Pegasus.
That's right, and this Baron hasn't even come up yet. It is just now being activated, and it looks like Pegasus is going to be taking this Infernal Drake, which is really going to help them secure kills, and also just keeping that away from the LeBlanc assassin is definitely a good choice.
Yeah, for sure. And now that Malzahar has it, that just adds to his DPS even higher. We're seeing the rapid fire cannon Caitlyn come through. No Shiv like the last Caitlyn we saw, not looking for that AoE, looking for that single target burst. And honestly, into that composition, can you really blame him?
That's right, they're just clearing out vision around Baron, although I don't think either team is going to be looking at that too soon since both junglers are up, but maybe next team fight, if there is a key pick, we can see some good stuff happen there.
Yeah, and it looks like in top lane, the grasp stacks are just running out of control right now. They're both just trading these auto-attack hits. It is going in the favor of Garen, but as we said, both of them are such reliable tanks that it doesn't really matter either way. They're both useful to an extent on either side. But it looks like Ornn and his positional, ability to just zone off anyone that he wants is being so vital. But they're starting this Baron in a 5v5 situation. Blue side are not unaware of this. Danish Dragon taken very low. It looks like a teamfight could actually break out. This could be Dorado's way back into the game if they're able to force a fight where it is not wanted from Pegasus. That's deciding to peel off of it. It was definitely very aggressive, and now Moonery is going to walk away, and it looks like they're just resetting entirely. And Pegasus just waste their time what could be spent elsewhere.
That's right. Oftentimes Baron can be used just to bait out a fight, because once people start hitting Baron, you have no choice but to either fight them or try to steal
but
it.
in goes all the CC onto the Malzahar will finally fall down. This is the pick that they've been looking for onto Gleck as well in the aftermath. And now Lord Goldlock is like in a position of trouble. He is silenced up, but they do not have the follow-up in the gap close to follow up with the net. However, now they just pick up a free kill on Leona, who was tanking the tower. They do get it in the end. Falcon picks it up. The TP coming through from Garen is actually trying to stop a huge wave in bot lane, which we didn't even notice. Kyle's been running it down bot lane the entirety of this game, picked up an inhibitor, managed to form a huge wave. Blue side is trying to run back in time. Kyle has pulled an absolute ninja on us. He is attacking onto the Nexus. He does not have any objective damage. The minions are not interested in it whatsoever. He will flash away, and it looks like Rasmussen will not quite get there in time, but the Call of the Forge God does come back in response, and that hits both carries. That is very huge from Kyle. It looks like this could be game 3 already going into the books in just under 25 minutes. The suppression comes down onto the tank. Nothing they can do about it. The tower is now... all the towers are gone. Nexus is being focused, and that is a sudden game victory for Red side, and I feel stupid now because I understand why that Baron play started now.
That's right, it was all just a distraction all along. Let Kyle go down to the bot lane, take out Inhib, take out 2 towers and the Nexus before there was really any response, and that allowed them to take the game. I love that objective awareness, that team awareness, knowing what the enemy team is thinking, knowing what they're going to do, and capitalizing on it, saying, hey, you guys keep them distracted, you guys keep on fighting them, you guys, while Kyle was pushing tower, taking Inhib, we were seeing that fight with like Moonery diving under tower, trying to get the Caitlyn, but the Caitlyn, I just managed to get away, and they managed to get the kill on the Leona, and back and forth. All the while, Kyle is out there winning the game.
Yeah, and of all unlikely people, we thought that maybe the Garen will be the one sitting in the side wave, but no, it's the team fighting Ornn. Even with his, he's picked up the Righteous Glory. He wasn't expecting it to happen, but no one came to stop him, and then, Red side just took advantage of Pegasus said, force the Baron, force like Moonery to stay around, force anything that we can to take away their attention from what could happen in bot lane, and Kyle, just unbeknownst to myself even, takes the game very quickly and stylishly, and that is a reverse sweep victory for Pegasus in the game of today, and that is their first win on the board, first series on the board, and now they're looking up to go even further than this.
Alright guys, so hey, sorry just for quickly stepping in here. I know this wasn't too planned, but however, I would just like to quickly go over the MVP at the moment, and then we can lead on to what happened with these games.
Yep.
That's right. Well, for me, the MVP last game had to be Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he didn't have any kills, right? He had a few deaths, he had some assists, he didn't have a great farm, he was being beaten in farm, but he saw an opportunity and he took it. And that's all you can really expect out of someone in the end. And it really paid off.
Yeah, winning in the most unlikely of ways. You look at that KDA and you look at the end game screen and you're like, okay, but, you know, Ornn didn't look very useful, but watching the game itself, you think, wow, you know, the guts so to pull off a move like that and for it to work out for a tank like that is just game-winning by itself, and very well done on Kyle to, as you say, find that opportunity. And if there's any other points I want to make on this, it would have to just be the consistency of the bot lane from Pegasus, Goldlock, and Gleck. The domination in that bot lane was just absolutely absurd.
Alright guys, so just let me know if there's any other points through these games that you'd like to bring up. If not, then hey, these have been some good games.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations on Pegasus to not be brought down after that stomp of game 1 and then to do it themselves game 3. Really sort of symmetrical reverse sweep series. Great fun.
I always love seeing a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and I think that does wrap us up for that series.
Yeah, guys, so it is 2-1. Pegasus take the lead off this game. We've been with our commentators. Please state name.
Oh, alright, this is where we sign the box. Alright. It's been Kui. I don't have a Twitter. I don't have anything. I have a Discord.
Pepe hands.
And I'm the Litzy. I do have a Twitter. It is at the Litzy. I have very cohesive branding.
That's pretty good. Anyway, yep, there's not too much to talk about now. We've already went over what happened that match. 2-1, and we'll see you in the next game.